Sticko, maybe I should moderate.
I got it.
Nuke my channel, I'll literally.
How are we gonna nuke your channel? This is on.
Well, it's Myron and Nick. This conversation is gonna fucking destroy my life.
Wait,
you guys are a little too much for me. I'm trying to grow my channel, bro.
Bro, we were just
Don't
gonna
nuke me.
We were just gonna
nuke me, bro. Come on.
Why are you getting scared now?
Because if I'm just Rumble only, I'm gonna cry. I want to be on YouTube too.
Why are you so scared? We were just gonna talk about the Holocaust. Come on.
Yo, what the fuck, man? No. We're not doing revisionist. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yo, look how scared.
Nick is respectful. You gotta be respectful.
Oh, hey.
Yo, these guys are so shaky.
Hold on.
Look at the millionaire. Doesn't care. The millionaire
on.
doesn't care. I didn't make a million.
We got Nick in here. Hold on. Let me just set up the camera.
Hey, there he is.
Let's go, chat. Y'all see what time it is?
Hold on. I don't see your camera.
You don't see me?
No.
I can see me.
Why is they gonna clip that little part and be like, Myron's a freaking jerk?
Yeah, I can't see you. I'm not sure.
I can see me on my
It's
Discord.
like a Mossad doorbell. Like they're looking at us through a door. This is scaring the fuck out of me, bro.
Right.
I don't know why I'm sweating so much.
Zherka's scared right now. Nick, have you spoken to Myron before?
No, not on stream before. What's going on?
Yo, Nick, it's a pleasure to meet you, man. I like your work.
I want to.
I'm a supporter
Yeah,
of your work.
likewise.
Let me call right back. Try to get the camera on.
I respect anyone that stands for what they believe in, regardless of what people think.
I appreciate that, man.
Okay,
you got a great show.
Thank you, man. Someone's got to tell these stupid hoes the truth.
Okay, hold on.
Back in my
All right, so Zherka, what can we not talk about since I know you're fucking sweating balls right now? Because I have so many questions for Nick.
Okay, no details. How about that? Just
Why don't I see Nick?
No details?
Yeah, no revisionist.
Hold on.
No revisionists at all, even if we use code words?
No, nothing about the.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
How about now? Can you see me now?
And I don't know how sensitive 9/11.
Nah, man. Can you restart your Discord?
Them niggas saw the planes hit. They were like,
Okay, wait.
we going to Iraq.
No, it was box cutters. It was Muhammad Ali.
Woo! Yo! Them niggas was dancing in Jersey going crazy.
No Lucky Larry talk. None of that, bro.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, y'all getting uncensored, Myron. Woo!
Okay. How about now? Can you see me
There we
now?
go. There we go. Myron, you can hear?
Oh, it's Myron versus Nick. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
It's Myron.
I can hear you. Can you
Myron
see me
talking
now?
to Nick. Two feds.
Yo, what up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Nick. How you
Dude,
doing?
why can't you see me? This is
No, we
weird.
can see you. We're good.
Oh, okay, good.
Everything's good. So Myron seems like he has a lot of questions to ask you. Let's be
Well,
careful.
I mean, if we're gonna, can I ask?
You could ask, but let's stay away from the years 1939 to 1945.
And Nick, do it the Zherka way. Go into Nick comedy mode.
The Zherka. All right, we'll do.
Because right now, Hillary Clinton's tuning into this. Okay. It's like,
All right,
That's
so
true.
so Nick, I refer to them as them boys. All right, we'll just say them boys. And then what? Was that the sound effect? No, it was this one. There we go. Yeah.
no, it's cha-ching.
What would you say? What's your take on 9/11 and involvement?
I think it was Israel. I think that Israel did 9/11, and talked about it a lot on my show. I mean, it's just that their fingerprints are all over it. If you really are interested in it, there's recent declassified reports from the FBI about the dancing Israelis. You have these guys watching from across the river. They knew the towers were going to fall. There's multiple police reports. They catch them in this moving systems van, and they find out they're all Israeli citizens and deport them. It's not declassified until 20 years later.
No.
You have the clean break memo, which outlines the plan for all these wars that come from the 9/11 mandate, effectively, from Iraq to Syria to Iran. Bibi Netanyahu talks for 20 years about how this is beneficial for Israel. You know, so, I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. That's not even to mention all the forensic evidence of, you know, what happened that day. And
What about, would you say Lucky Larry and all of the Project for a New American Century, all those kind of neocons?
100%, yeah. Well, and they're all Jewish. Like, there was a major push behind the war in Iraq, and it's all these Jewish neocons. They're all, they're old leftists.
Nick, I thought it was a goat fucker with a box cutter. What are you talking about? You didn't read the official report?
Right, yeah, well, I mean, but they created that idea. The whole, and here's the thing. I mean, I actually like Zherka's created this new anti-Muslim thing, which I'm here for it. Because for a long time, I used to say, like, well, here, like, Jews tricked us into hating Muslims for the wrong reasons. They're like, you got to hate Muslims because they're all terrorists. It's like, no, we don't got to hate Muslims because they're terrorists. We have to not like Muslims because they don't believe in Jesus.
We do believe in Jesus.
Yeah, we just look at him as a prophet.
You strip the divinity away from God, you fucking Satanist.
No, it's not we strip the divinity. We could talk about this, but Muslims believe that he was one of the prophets.
Yeah, we believe he's a prophet. We acknowledge him.
We just prophet, and that he's not God. I don't think that's
you deny the crucifixion. You deny the crucifixion, which is the whole point. So anyway, Zherka brought it back home, and it's like, you know what? It's Catholics versus everybody. It's even Protestants, you know, because there's always throwing Protestants. You're like, well, a Protestant had a gay minister or whatever. It's like, I'm Catholic. It's Catholics versus everybody in the whole world. Always has been.
I actually hate Protestants more than the Muslims. There's no hate. I'm just joking.
No, hey, yeah, but yeah, I know what you mean. Absolutely.
So okay, so you're saying, yeah, and here's the thing though, it's crazy how it took all these years, you know, damn near 2 decades plus for them to declassify the stuff. As far as 100%, it's a fact at this point that there was Israeli intelligence involved in the 9/11 attacks. I mean, that doesn't even go, and I gotta really give Ryan Dawson a shout out here because he exposed all this shit. Like, one of the people that were caught from this moving systems organization, right? There was one based out of New York and one based out of Tennessee. And we're going to go over this in more detail with Ryan. But one of the guys had done work at the World Trade Center on September 5th, and he had a permit, right, to be in the building. But then when they didn't check the Port Authority, which allows, you know, all the contractors to come in and do work or whatever, that guy wasn't on the list to be doing work there. And he allegedly had done fire sprinkler work. So what I suspect is they actually sabotaged the fire sprinkler system. And more than likely what ended up happening is that there were bombs at the bottom of the World Trade Center. And those are what went off, kind of a mirror image of what went down in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing with Ramzi Youssef, because firefighters and hundreds of witnesses literally said, I heard bombs going off from the basement at the World Trade Center. And the thing is that, you know, you got Richard Gage and all these other guys that are like, it's controlled demolition, controlled demolition. That's a lot of work. I think the easier way to go with it is a bomb went off in the basement, then you got the plane in the fire creating a whole bunch of damage up the top level. If everything falls from the bottom, the building is going to topple down on itself. So I think the bomb theory makes more sense versus putting dynamite, etc., on all the floors to fall down. Regardless, it was an insider conspiracy, whether it was controlled demolitions or a bomb on the bottom. It's the same shit. But I think they put way too much stake in how the building went down versus who caused the fucking fire. Like, who caused the building to go down?
But you can see the thermite poof, poof, poof in every floor.
You can see the squibs. Yeah, you can see the squibs. But the thing is with the squibs, with the air popping out, is once the floor falls on top of the next floor like this and pancakes, the air gets forced out. So that's what you were seeing on each floor. So the air gets pushed out, air comes out like this. Air pushed out.
Is that what Dawson said?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Dawson said that, but a lot of the demolition guys were saying that they put dynamite there surreptitiously earlier. But I look at it like that's way too much work. They didn't put dynamite there. They just put a bottom at the bottom.
Mr. B should do with all his money is recreate the Twin Towers and then fly 2 planes into the buildings and see if it actually collapses.
He's busy cutting dicks off. What are you talking about?
Well, that would be the #1 trending video of all time. And you know he's actually thought about it before.
And here's the thing too. Yo, you know, we're criticizing, you know, them boys, the homeland of them boys. Saudi Arabia was involved too, bro. You know, Saudi Arabia had a stake in this too. People don't know this, and no one talks about this shit, but I'm going to talk about this. Saudi Arabia hates Iraq, okay? They've had issues with Saddam for decades. And the thing is this, people don't know this about bin Laden. Number one, bin Laden was a multimillionaire, very successful. He comes from a very wealthy family that was in charge of all the building a bunch of the buildings in Saudi Arabia. Second richest family after the royal family. And he was, when his dad died in like the 60s, he was worth like $5 billion in today's dollars. Yeah, you're right.
Saudis are the only Muslims who don't got a problem with the Jews because they got so many contracts with them. Everyone else got a problem with them. And they're like, what about those Shias?
So let me say this real quick, right? So I say all that to set the stage for this. When Saddam invaded Kuwait, right? When he invaded, with Kuwait or Iran, sorry. Either way, regardless, he invaded and it caused some turmoil in the Middle East, right? And there was threat to Saudi Arabia. Bin Laden wanted to take his freedom fighters that he had from the 80s, right, that beat the Russians, and go to Saudi Arabia and fight the war. But Saudi Arabia was like, no, we're not gonna have you help us. The Americans are gonna come help. And that enraged Bin Laden because he looked at it like, this is a holy war. Why the fuck are, infidels in his eyes helping Saudi Arabia? This is the Holy Land. I'm supposed to be defending it. So what ended up happening was the royal family told Osama, no, you can't fight for us. Osama gets mad, starts criticizing the Saudi government, And then they end up ostracizing him, taking his Saudi citizenship away, send him to Sudan. That's why he was in Sudan in the mid-90s. And then he ends up being radicalized there and saying, fuck America, blah, blah, blah. So that's how he really started hating America, was because he wanted to fight against Saddam. So it doesn't make sense that after the 9/11 attack, we say, oh, let's go invade Iraq, who Saddam hates, by the way. So who Osama hates, by the way. It doesn't make sense. But that's the truth that no one's going to tell y'all, is that Osama and Saddam were actually enemies.
Well, and Saudi Arabia has been in bed with Israel forever. I mean, that's the worst kept secret in the Middle East, is that Saudi Arabia, even long before the Abraham Accords officially normalized these relations, Saudi Arabia has had a relationship with Israel for decades. And this is the Israel strategy. If you take, and this is the easiest thing, all you have to do is take a look at the map of the Middle East, look at all the Muslim countries. You can do this yourself on one of these fill in the blank maps and color in every country that has been neutralized through a peace treaty with the United States and Israel, which would be Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states, and then color in all the countries that have been destroyed by the United States, which would be Libya, Sudan, Syria, Iraq. They want to go after Iran. And you've basically got Lebanon. You've got the entire Middle East. And so it's a strategy of either neutralizing through American spies and money. You know, Egypt became the #2 recipient of foreign aid after the Camp David Accords in '79. Jordan became the #3 recipient after they made their treaty with Israel in the 1990s. So either the United States comes in and bribes them, or goes in with intelligence, or they go in and bomb them, like they did with Gaddafi, like they did with Saddam, like they did with Assad. And it fulfills Israel's own stated strategy in the 1980s, which is they want to destroy all the strong Arab states, because there were 4 wars of an Arab coalition against Israel. They wanted to destroy all the Arab states and make them all tribes of flags. And the ones they couldn't destroy, they wanted to neutralize by bringing in the United States and having them sign a peace treaty. And that will explain all the events. It even explains things that happened in America, like the JFK assassination, the RFK assassination. JFK got killed 5 months after he tried to send IAEA advisors into Israel to investigate their Dimona nuclear plant. RFK, his brother, the attorney general, who is running for Democratic nomination for president,
which they will still not acknowledge that they have nuclear weapons to this day.
Exactly. Well, but it was a big trick for them to get it in the first place, and the United States obviously wanted to stand athwart that before total domination by the Israeli lobby, and they killed Kennedy to prevent them from interfering, and then they killed RFK to cover up the JFK assassination. And so the whole 20th century is a fucking lie. You look at World War I, World War II, the assassinations, and you can find Mossad's fingerprints, assassinations all over. You don't have to look very far. I mean, Lee Harvey Oswald got killed by Jack Ruby, short for Jack Rubenstein. Jack Rubenstein was connected to Mickey Cohen in L.A., and it was the Jewish mafia in the United States that ran light arms trafficking to Israel with the Irgun, all these Israeli Zionist terrorist groups, and they were fighting the British Mandate when they were fighting the Arabs over there. And Jack Rubenstein, when he's convicted, he goes up and says, I did it for my people. He goes, when they try me, I did it for my people. Who's his people? He was connected to New Orleans and to the L.A. Jewish mafia. He killed Lee Harvey Oswald because Lee Harvey Oswald would then be the patsy. They silenced him so he couldn't come out and say, I'm not the lone gunman. So, and it's everywhere. And you could look at, like, Un's Review is my favorite resource about this, but this is like the biggest cover-up ever. It's these people. It's biblical. They want to return there. And it tracks, like with world history. Their temple was destroyed in 70 AD. They fight for 1,000 years. The last millennium, 1,000 to 2,000, is the story of Jewish ascendancy. It literally tracks. The last century of the last millennium is the Jews returning to the homeland, forming their own state, and then achieving total domination of the new Rome, which is the United States. 1,000, right? In 70 AD, they get expelled. And then from AD 1000 to AD 2000, it's a story of them rising up. They start getting expelled, but then they come back. Then they're the bankers. Then they're financing the wars. Then they're the money behind everything. They make money off the Napoleonic Wars. Then they're resettling and forming their own country. They're returning. Hasn't happened in 2,000 years. They form a state. They run America. So this is straight up biblical. If that doesn't make you believe in the story of Jews and Christians as something more than just their arbitrary religions, I don't know what does, because it's clearly like eschatological, the relationship between Christians and Jews in the last millennium.
Holy, not one lie has been detected.
Yeah, it's
That's
weird.
why they canceled him. I hope y'all wrote that down because that was all 1,000% factual. People don't know that they literally stole uranium from us and created the nuclear bomb. And to this day, they will not acknowledge that they have nuclear weapons.
The average Joe always goes, well, why would you destroy a nation? You could just get rich with their... Actually, you destroy 2 nations in one war. They got to ask for a loan, right? So this is the biggest level of business. I don't get how people don't understand this. To rebuild a nation, you got to get a loan with huge interest. I read that in the Babylonian Talmud, there's 999 steps to Moshiach returning, the Messiah. They believe that if everyone on earth in unison is good, that God comes, or the Messiah comes down and God brings heaven and blah. But they're having trouble turning everyone on earth good, so they said it's easier if we make everyone sin and turn them all sinners. That way we get, the gates of heaven open. Do they actually believe in this?
Who controls the porn industry? Who controls the alcohol companies?
China, bro.
Who control?
Who performed the first transgender surgery?
According to Alex Jones, it's China.
Anheuser-Busch, okay, right? Who controls the banks? I mean, hey, man.
According to Alex Jones, the Jews are tricking the Jews. You see that new clip? Oh, you sent it to me, Nick.
Yeah, I did a whole show about it just now, breaking it all down. I mean, it's just like craziness. He keeps talking about a mad scientist. It's like a superhero story. He's like, it's not the Jews, it's a mad scientist that's using them to trick people into thinking it's them so that they can get away with their real agenda and they're actually the real Nazis. And it's just like, or everything is as it pretty much seems to be. Like it pretty much checks out.
I will say this. The one thing I give them credit for is they are so patriotic. They will do anything for their country.
Even
and
the secular ones.
You know how I knew they were for real? We had Alex Bustamante on, right? Really smart guy. Former CIA officer, right? I know. But here's the thing. There was a big tidbit that I took away from that interview from him. He said one of the most ruthless intelligence agencies that will stop at nothing.
Don't say the name.
For their mission is
the elves. More jokes, less detail, guys.
I'll stay a little bit longer.
Yeah, we just
want to make sure I came by and showed love, man.
If you're gonna name drop some people, just do the first name. Don't do the whole name.
No, I won't do that, bro. I won't do that. I'm not gonna go crazy. That's why I haven't.
Like, I don't say Larry.
Larry Silverstein?
Yeah, don't say the whole thing.
Okay.
Chat, we good?
Apparently the algorithm senses all the names.
Chat, we're good? Okay, cool.
We're good. We're back.
All right.
Sweet.
We're live again. It's ready. Tell him if we gotta call him back. Random. That was weird timing for the Wi-Fi to go out. I'm not gonna lie, that hasn't happened.
Yeah, facts.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. That was extremely strange. The whole fucking recording fucked up. Damn, bro, that sucks. Like when the Wi-Fi cuts out like that, I don't get the.
Yo, if any of you guys, you know what, bro, just ask the people, man. The people will help. If any of you guys, because you think you lost the recording.
Well, I could just download it from Rumble.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's. I know.
Nick, that was a little freaky, right?
That was crazy, dude.
That was a little free. I've been streaming every day this month. That's the first time the Wi-Fi is cut out right then, and it was literally at a spooky moment. I'm not gonna. Zherka, come back, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. All right. Sorry. Apologies about that.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
NSA watching says hit it. I don't know.
Guys, I was just fucking a rock. I'm back.
Okay.
So sorry. So Nick, you were saying. You were saying. You were dropping some heat there, bro. So I don't want to stop you. But basically, what just I guess for the audience coming back in, whatever. I was just talking about. We're talking about 9/11. Nick dropped some game on them boys in the past on that. But I was talking about how Saudi Arabia was 100% also involved in 9/11. And at the end of the day, Saudi Arabia and them boys are closer than you guys tend to think. Even though in the public air it's not put that way because. Obviously Saudi Arabia is, thanks to the petrodollar, is tightly aligned with the United States. The United States is tightly aligned with them boys, and that's what it is.
Nick, have you noticed public consciousness and through all mainstream media, we're led to believe Saudi royalty and London or UK have so much money. But really, I don't know how much they have, bro, in comparison.
Well, you have to look at the city of London. Everybody talks about England, and this is like my favorite red pill because nobody knows about this. The Jews were expelled from England in 1290 by King Edward. Actually, there's no record of them boys living in England from 1290 until 1655. And what happens in the mid 17th century is William of Orange comes to invade England from Amsterdam. Amsterdam, get this, was the richest banking superpower in Europe at that time because of those people. And when William of Orange came back to England, he was financed by guess who? And the first thing he did when he came back is, guess what? Start letting them back in. And what did they do? They start to fill up, after they burned down the city of London, they start to fill up a neighborhood called the City of London. The City of London is within London. You know, I'm not talking about London. I'm talking about, it's actually called the City of London. It's a sovereign entity within London. It's a neighborhood within London. That's where all the banks are. That's where the Rothschilds are. That's where JP Morgan is. You could go there. It's like 1 square mile within London, and all the bankings are there. They used to call the neighborhood Old Jewry. That's just what the neighborhood was called because that's who was there.
So
and
a lot
seemingly,
of bagel shops. A lot of bagel
Not only
shops.
that, I mean, let's just keep it 1,000. The R family is on the currency of the country that we shall not name.
Halfway. Are you serious?
that's right.
You didn't know that?
The Rothschilds?
Yeah, yeah, and they have a street named after them as well in the homeland.
And
Halfway.
And not did y'all also know that the R family was also involved in basically making sure that them boys ended up getting in Palestine?
Halfway.
That's who the Balfour Declaration was written to, by Lord Balfour, the foreign minister, during World War I. And, you know, so they come over to England, they form up this neighborhood, and then, curiously, the United Kingdom becomes a superpower of the world through banking. Go figure. Financed by, like you said, the R family. And our family were major proponents of Zionism in the world in the late 19th century, 20th century. And so,
the UK
I mean,
used to be the world's reserve currency. People don't know that. It used to be the world's reserve currency, and it was the strongest dollar in the world for a very long time. I mean, it's still a little bit stronger than the US dollar now, but it wasn't the reserve currency status that it was back then.
well, and it shifted, and there was a moment in 1947 when it really shifted. 1947 is when the United States took up Britain's obligations to Greece and Turkey. United Kingdom was supporting Greece and Turkey so they wouldn't fall to communism and open up Africa and Europe to the Soviet Union. They saw that Aegean Sea there is critical. If the Soviet Union breached that, they could go into 3 continents, take over. It's called the World Island, which is that's an international relations theory.
Nick, I'm not trying to
And it
piss
was
you
then.
off, but what do you think of those people who say the Germans in the World War II, right? The Zios and the Germans had the same goal of expelling the Jews and work together. You've heard of this before, right?
Yeah, the Havara Agreement. The Nazis made a deal with the Zionists where, and I forget the particulars of it, but basically it was about facilitating emigration of Jews from Germany to Israel, where I think the Jews would do something like sell their furniture to the Germans and they would get money towards resettlement. It was some sort of,
they
again,
get
I
all
don't
their
know the details.
resources. They're able to basically leave with all their wealth intact too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So they work together, the Zios and the Nazis. That's very well established. And that, you know, that flies in the face of this rhetoric about a systematic extermination. If they wanted a systematic extermination, why do they let them leave the country?
Nick,
why are they telling them to go
No
form
one
their own
talks about
nation?
that, dude. Like, it's crazy how, I mean, if we're going to get really controversial, people don't talk about how them boys launched a war. Like, they literally denounced the country of Germany prior to.
Yeah.
That's getting a little hot.
Okay, all right.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I
SNEAKO
won't even
said
get in
no.
there then. I mean, I don't know.
Judea declares a war. What are you talking about?
And here's the thing. I'm not saying anything that isn't a fact. This is the truth. They let them go, right?
What do you mean? We're
to
just telling
Palestine
stories.
with
This
all
is
their-
fucking. We're
with all
fucking.
their
We're
wealth
the
intact.
we're the Scooby Doo team. We're just telling jokes and stories. What are you talking about? Fact? None of this is fact.
Before that event that shall not be named, they declared war on Germany.
Yeah. I have the Gazette. I have the newspaper. I saved it.
You were alive back then?
I'm a time traveler, but I mostly spent time 1200 to 1700.
So yeah.
Well, but isn't it disturbing how, like, we're having this conversation, and to me, this is what freaked me out. It's like, we're talking about this, and there's this atmosphere of, like, unease and nervousness.
Facts. You're right.
And like self-censorship. And it's like we're on Rumble, which is supposed to be the free speech platform where nobody has to worry, in the free speech country, America, where you're supposed to say anything. And we're not out here saying like, we got to do that. You know, we're not on here doing anything hateful, violent, illegal. We're talking about history, but everybody here knows what's at stake. Everybody here knows what's on the line. And doesn't that, I mean, people can say whatever the fuck they want, but that speaks louder than anything.
Yeah.
Because we all know what the stakes are.
God forbid we talk about some billionaires.
Yeah. I mean, they always say, who can you not criticize? That's who runs the world. And that's the truth, man.
That's why I've never spoken shit about Xi Jinping.
So
I'm the rising star. I'm saving my own ass, okay, you little anti-Semites?
Yeah. I don't blame you, man. It's,
you ain't talking.
The Great Wall of China, bro, that's where they go do that
but
ritual.
here's the thing. It's crazy, though, because, Nick, you brought up a good point here. We're literally talking about factual history, things that happened damn near almost 100 years ago, 80 to 100 years ago, and we can't even talk about it openly. And these things are true. The Havara Agreement, etc. All these things are 100% factual.
Wait.
But if I was to say Havara Agreement to people nowadays, they're going to look at me with three heads like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They want you got to focus on Schindler's List and Inglourious Bastards, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and here's the thing, and then here's the other scary part. They'll look at it, they might look at us guys less like as like sympathizers. And it's like, no, we're just telling you what it really is. Like, what I said about bin Laden is 1,000% fact. Him and Saddam hated each other. The beef with bin Laden in the United States stems from basically Osama not being able to be involved to protect Saudi Arabia from Saddam Hussein and kicking him out. And that was his biggest beef. And then he criticized the Saudi government and they kicked him out and took away his citizenship. But no one talks about that. They say, oh, he just hates America because we're free. Look, man, we got to be honest with ourselves here and see why do the people that hate us really hate us. And when you actually look at it, you're like, okay, I see why, even though you're crazy as fuck trying to, organize a terrorist plot. Because the thing is that we did get hit by a terrorist on 9/11. But the problem is that people don't want to see how it was so easily facilitated and it could have been stopped. They declassified a bunch of CIA documents months before 9/11, by the way, right? Showing, attacks are imminent. Osama's serious about this, blah, 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 blah. So even people, they blame the CIA, etc. The CIA warned the White House. So who higher up than the CIA didn't want to go ahead and take action? Because it's out there declassified that they had warned Bill Clinton and Bush about impeding attacks on 9/11. But they didn't do shit.
See, I like this. Blaming the brown people. Now we're back on track, guys.
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Yeah, no, we were 100%.
Leave those little midgets alone.
The thing is this, and again, I got to shout out Ryan Dawson. Shout out to him again because I'm not going to be like Whitney Webb and plagiarize his work. The guy's fantastic. Go check out his channel. And I'm sure you're familiar with him too, Nick. The thing with 9/11 is the terrorists were in the country. It was a legit terrorist attack. The problem is that other entities and other intelligence agencies knew they were fucking here and didn't do anything about it. That's the problem. And they had plenty of chances to stop these guys. I mean, bro, it's crazy. Some of the hijackers, like 15 of the hijackers were right down here in Miami, Florida. They're right in Hollywood, bro, right up the fucking street, next to Mo, my sound engineer. And the guys that, the dancing Israelis, a couple of them had addresses where? In fucking Miami Beach, 20 minutes away. Right next to Mohammed Atta.
They went back to the homeland too.
They did. And not only this, those guys that got caught all had return flights for the next day after 9/11.
And the van they had was a fucking 2 towers and a fucking with that painting.
Here's
that
another crazy
painterism.
thing that no one talks about. On September 11th at about 10:45 p.m., almost 11 p.m., they caught a van with explosives in it. They actually, and I saw the news report again. Dawson showing me that one. They caught the van. Who was in the van? One of them boys.
On a bridge, they call that.
On the bridge, the George Washington Bridge, with explosives, bro. But no one
It's
talks
just a
about
coincidence,
this.
bro.
And no one talks about this.
So Nick, why do you still support Trump when guys like RFK? I know he's a Democrat, but he's very close to naming he's really close to naming it. Trump's still talking about COVID numbers.
Because he's ineffective. Trump is the only effective fucking symbol.
Trump is still talking about how the Arabs did 9/11. Like he's behind on a lot of this stuff. But so is RFK.
Well, he's technically not wrong by saying that, but he's being very disingenuous and not saying that the Arabs did it with help from them boys. And
no, Trump is cool. He wants to keep 1 or 2 kingmakers on our side. We need it, right? It's
well,
fine.
I hope that Trump. I think that me and Ye played a big role because when me and Ye had dinner with Trump, the Jews hated that. And I have a hunch that maybe a lot of them fled because actually, if you look at it, Ron DeSantis, just weeks before he announced, he went on a foreign visit as the governor of Florida. He had 3 countries. The first one was that country. And he was there at a dinner table with Miriam Adelson and 2 of the other biggest, donors from America for the Republican Party. They crowned him. I mean, he's got the backing of Ken Griffin from Citadel. He's got the coronation from Miriam Adelson, apparently, as well as the others. He's got the coronation from Silicon Valley, Peter Thiel. I mean, he was on a Twitter space. Here's an interesting fact for you. He was on there with David Sachs. David Sachs is a board member here at Rumble. He became a board member at Rumble after Rumble bought Locals. David Sachs led a round of seed funding for Locals. Locals is owned by Dave Rubin and Dave Rubin's brother-in-law, both of them Zionist you-know-whats that studied at Ben-Gurion University in Israel. And the guy that made Locals was a spy. The guy that made Locals is literally an Israeli spy. So it's like David Sachs leads the round of seed funding for this website for Rubin and his buddy from Ben-Gurion University. Rumble buys this. David Sachs joins up. And of course, David Sachs is old school PayPal mafia, along with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel's a major investor here. Peter Thiel is from where? Peter Thiel is from South Africa. South Africa supplied much of the nuclear material for Israel to develop its nuclear weapon. And Israel, Mossad, and South Africa's intelligence were like this for the past 40 years. There are prominent guys like, for example, Joe Pollack. He's the editor of Breitbart. He's one of them. He's a Zio. He studied you-know-what studies in college, converted his black wife from Africa to you-know-what before he immigrated here. And he responded to me and Ye on InfoWars talking about how the Talmud isn't all that bad. So it's like, the more I realized this when I started looking into it, the more you dig, the more of it you find. I kept looking for the debunk. When I first started to notice these things and realize, I dug and dug and dug, and I was looking for somebody to tell me, here's why it's wrong, here's the debunk. The more you dig, that you just find more of it. You find a bigger and bigger and bigger network, and you see it's everywhere. Now, that was Sachs with DeSantis, who had just met with Miriam Adelson over there. Miriam Adelson, for those that don't know, she's the widower of Sheldon Adelson. Sheldon Adelson donated something like $500 million to the GOP. Single donor, $500 million in 10 years. He put 100 in 16, 120. He was a single issue voter, support for that country. When he died a couple of years ago, they flew his body on the tarmac to Israel, and he was greeted at the airport by Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, he made all his money in casinos. He made all his money in America, and he was an American citizen. They bury his body over there, greeted on the tarmac by the PM. And it's like, so this is the wife was meeting with DeSantis over there. Probably she's going to pledge some serious support along with one of the biggest donors from Colorado and another one, but they're meeting over there for dinner. And then he comes on with David Sachs, who's connected to Rubin and connected to all these other shady characters from Silicon Valley. So the whole thing just stinks to high heaven. In other words, that's why I support Trump, because DeSantis clearly has been crowned the new you-know-what candidate. And Trump is somebody who, for better or for worse, maybe he is, maybe I and Ye. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, dude. Crazy connections that you drew there. I'll say this. The thing that makes Trump safe is that he doesn't need AIPAC. He doesn't need these crazy lobbying, people to pay for his campaign, etc. He has his own money, so he can't necessarily be compromised to the same degree as some of these other politicians. That's why I like Trump so much. Look, he's not the best person ever. He's not perfect, etc. But he's relatable. I like that he doesn't give a fuck. And then on top of that, he can't be controlled because he has his own money. And I think that's so powerful, because in this day and age, you ain't going to rise through politics without being in bed deeply with these guys, aka them boys. I mean, obviously Trump has dealings with them too, because he's involved in New York real estate. You can't be involved in New York real estate without dealing with them boys. Yeah, his family is absolutely connected as well. But it's not to the same extent as a lot of these other politicians.
When I was fading away from Trump a bit, I was like, oh, this is getting a little too kosher for me. My dude, DeSantis comes out of the blue and made me love Trump. I'm like, look what they're trying to do. They're trying to give us a carbon copy, but it's a homosexual this time. Get the fuck out of here.
So why do you think that Trump was kissing the Great Wall of China, but but Biden never did?
Well, there's some that say that Biden is actually based. And I said, I'm not one of those people, but I did say this on my show.
You can't be a Christian without being a Zionist on film. So let's not, just because he couldn't find the fucking Great Wall of China doesn't mean he's fucking based.
But check this out. So a few months ago, Bibi Netanyahu's in real trouble. He's trying to pass his judicial reform, and they're trying to storm his house. The unions are threatening a general strike if he doesn't resign. And I said this on my show, and this is like a tough pill to swallow for Trump supporters. But you know that if Trump was president, he would have went out there and said, I stand behind Netanyahu 100%. Biden hung him out to dry. Biden wouldn't invite him to the White House. Biden was kind of criticizing him from afar. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind, that Trump's son-in-law, Kushner, is like this with Netanyahu. Like, by the way, Kushner lives at 666 Fifth Avenue. Look it up. That's literally his address, 666 Fifth Avenue. Jared Kushner's address. And Netanyahu would stay there in the penthouse with Kushner when he visited New York. Now, after Trump left office in 2020, Kushner brokered the Abraham Accords under Trump, and that opened up investment from the oil-rich Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the Emirates to Israel. Once Trump leaves office, Kushner goes out and he strikes a deal with his consulting investment firm, and he funnels $1 billion from the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund into Israel, and he gets a very generous commission. He does a couple other $400 million deals with Qatar, with the Emirates, I think with Bahrain, all going there. These are the first such deals of their kind, enabled by the deal that he brokered under Trump. So, you know, I have my reasons to be skeptical, but when I see DeSantis, it's like Trump is clearly the better option. And I think that Trump has a very transactional view of it. Maybe that's naive, but Trump does have a transactional view where he says, like, you know, I'm going to do you some favors and you're going to give me $100 million to run. And that's not ideal, but it seems like he's not like a total shill. He's just making a transaction. But, you know, yeah, go ahead.
My question is, for Trump and these movers and shakers, billionaires and stuff, do you think they designed their own fucking buildings? Why is 66th floor in Trump Tower worshiping the Luciferian solar deity of Helios, Apollo? It's all gold and fucking sun worship, pagan shit. On the 66th floor is the Luciferian kind of artwork and stuff, and it's all gold. Very suspicious. I can't imagine Trump actually saying, I want it like this. It feels like someone's doing it for him, you know?
That's Jared Kushner's building. Jared Kushner, and he's kind of failing, like, because his father, I believe, went to jail, and then in 2008 he bought that property and he had to get bailed out or something like that. Again, I'm shady on the details, but that's Kushner's address. Trump doesn't live at 666.
Was the father the one that was like banging a hooker and did like some kind of fraud?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, because they're all,
I mean, the FBI. I think I know what you're talking about.
Criminals like that. I mean, seriously.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, you deal with these guys, you're gonna see some kind of issue with fraud or lying. Or
I know why no one actually 100% goes against the establishment. Apparently, you walk into a room as a politician, they say, hey, in that room you're gonna meet Netanyahu or whoever. You're gonna meet this big mover and shaker who's gonna help you. And you walk in, and apparently it's a two-way mirror with a fucking naked child, and they snap a photo and say, we own you, bitch. So a lot of them are compromised. They're like really fucked over, and they don't even have to do anything. They're fucked over, right?
Compromised. I mean, dude, the thing that no one wants to admit, right? Like, it's weird because when I see people talk about Epstein, they kind of dance around this shit. Bro, let's just call Epstein what he was. He was an intelligence agent from Israel that was basically compromising powerful people in the United States to secure funding to gather intelligence. Gather technology information. You would have. Like, that's what he was. Like, he basically would come in, hey, Bill Gates, I know that you like to do this sexual deviant activity 1, 2, and 3. I own you. I need you to go ahead and donate $1 million on my behalf to MIT, and then I'm going to go visit MIT, see the technology they build, report this stuff back to my handlers back in, you know, that homeland, and we'll go from there. And that's basically what he was. He was basically a dude that would blackmail people, but people want to stay away from that. They want to say he was a pedophile, he was blah, 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 which he was. He absolutely was. But they don't want to talk about why he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
Well, that's that's like the secret sauce of that group. They're known for that. As an intelligence agency in the world, blackmail is like their specialty. And as far as Epstein goes, you just look at the Ghislaine Maxwell, the girlfriend, her father was a Mossad agent, okay? Epstein's GF, Ghislaine Maxwell. You look at the dad; he was involved with that, and they were trying. They can't even find out where he got his money. He was a billionaire. They don't even know. They can't find how he came up with half of his net worth. They don't even know where that money came from.
Les Wexner, also a Zio, the person the CEO of Victoria's Secret.
Yep, 100%.
And Epstein's homeboy, like this, he was the reason why Epstein had a lot of the clients, right, that he managed money for, was Wexner.
And a lot of times these guys, they're like at 15 years old, a prospect for these big elites. Like, they're put into power. When you see these guys who are like they have like billions of dollars, but you don't know what the fuck they do. They're actually put into that powerful role. They're not like actually like Epstein didn't have any fucking skills.
No, and here's the thing too. This is what he was good at, manipulating people. So he would go to these parties, right, with Ghislaine. He'd have all these Victoria's Secret models with him. How? Well, because Wexner is his boy, owns Victoria's Secret and a couple of these other companies. They go ahead, hey, and let's be honest here. When you bring a bunch of chicks with you to the party, now you're the fucking cool guy. Who's this guy? Let me get to know him, blah, blah, blah. Oh, nice to meet you, Jeffrey Epstein. Here's my girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, which she wasn't that bad looking back then, right? Oh, and then look at all these bitches that we brought y'all. Y'all like them? Yeah, they're all 19. Oh, yeah, we're all in, blah, blah, blah. You like this? Come and hang out with us next week. Next thing you know, she's 18. Week after that, 17. Week after that, 15. Week after that,
Actually,
12. What the fuck's going on here? But you're in too late now.
In my documentary that's coming out in a couple of months, I have Kay Griggs, who was married to a high-ranking military officer from NATO, and she was getting abused by him. He was drunk, and he was leaking everything to her, and a lot of the footage is already on YouTube. She talks about how the lowest ego a male can have to be the best mercenary is doing a psychic ritual of sodomy, getting fucked in the ass, that every Navy SEAL has to do one cold kill and get fucked in the ass. They're called cherry Marines. And she talks about how they start off with hot prostitutes and get the young boys drunk, and they eventually...
I got it. It's food.
That's weird. That's
Keep
food.
cooking.
If that's a Jewish bagel, I'm running, bro. I'm jumping.
Keep cooking.
And then Nick, I got a question for you after he finishes this rant, which they asked me this earlier today, and I was thinking about, damn, this is a good question, but go ahead.
Basically, all psychological programming of these young men to be like elite killers, it's always some gay black magic. Like Aleister Crowley said, his black magic influence and occult science and powers started when he fingered that rim of his butthole. That homosexuality is like, it pretty much, they use it, like they tie it. It's not just deviancy with kids. Like they always tie it to, they're always gay. The elites are always gay, and all the powerful people are always gay. I don't know. What do you think?
I got a question for Nick. So Nick,
Okay.
check this out. We had a podcast with the Valuetainment guys, Patrick, Bet, David, and them, right? And he asked a very thought-provoking question. He said, who do you think, name 10 people that are the most responsible for the decline of the United States after November of 1963? And I know what he did there. That's after Kennedy obviously was killed. And I was like, wow. And he said it could be anything. You can name intelligence agencies, you can name families, whatever it may be. Who are the 10 people that were the most responsible for the degradation of the United States as we see now? I'll turn it to you.
That's around the immigration demographic change, right?
Yeah. Whatever 10 things you would say are the most influential in the downfall.
Well, that's an interesting question. You would have to figure out sort of what constitutes the downfall. And I would say it's
breaking the fucking cross. That's the only thing. Since the 1960s sexual revolution, I'm just saying the attack on churches, that is the downfall.
We could say, let's say overall, it could be family values, it could be the economy, it can be society in general.
It's the church. The fuck are we talking about?
Whatever it may be.
Well, I mean, its demographics are a huge part of it. Like, mass immigration is going to ensure that this country doesn't survive, because politics is so much a part of it. Like, we can't get political solutions because there's this left-wing political coalition made up of these foreign hordes. Like, let's just be honest. You look at the election in 2016, 90% of the people that voted for Trump were white. 90% of people that voted for Trump were white. And we see how the demographics are going to play out in the future. And basically any opponent of the regime is going to have a very hard time winning because it's baked in demographic disadvantage. So you can blame that not on the 65 Immigration Act, hard seller, but the 1990 Immigration Act under George Bush.
Okay.
George Bush is a huge part of it.
Okay, so George Bush.
So I'd throw him in there. Pornography is one of the single biggest problems in the United States. I'm talking about internet pornography. So talk about the owner of MindGeek or the owner of OnlyFans. Even though
Reality Kings, all these, which they're all like one big ass company. Reality Kings, like they're all one porn company.
MindGeek owns all of them.
MindGeek owns
Brazzers,
all of them. Okay.
Pornhub.
But Nick, you know why I say it's attack on the church that's number one is because they bring in a bunch of brown people. Brown people vote blue. But if we do it Nick's way, bring all the Europeans, those are homosexual Democrats who vote blue as well. You need to turn those Europeans Christian, or else you fail either way.
I'm not saying bring in anybody. I'm saying that you brought in people that are always going to vote left. They're always going to vote. I mean, you see that at the second generation, they vote more left-wing. Like Asians in particular, second-generation Asian immigrants vote more left than their parents. And that's now increasingly the biggest immigration cohort is from Asia, not even from Latin America anymore, although there's still a lot of Latin Americans.
And let me tell
Same
you this,
thing, though.
too.
They lose their religiosity. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'll say this as a guy that's first generation American and my parents immigrated here, and I'm going to be blunt about this, and I got to hold myself accountable and our people. 1,000% agree with you. Immigrants only vote red once they actually start making money, right? So, yep, that's a tough pill to swallow that no one want to admit. My family, when they first came here and we didn't have money or whatever, always voted blue. Now that we got some money and we actually see how the world really fucking works, we're like, okay, nah, we're voting red now.
Same for my
It's the same thing,
too.
bro. Like anybody in chat, y'all know what time it is. If you came here as an immigrant, your family almost always votes blue when you're poor. As soon as you get a little bit of money, I would say that number, once you hit 80K plus a year and they really start fucking you on taxes, because I would say that's when you start to get to that point where you're like pseudo higher middle class, and they start taxing you high, you're like, whoa, I'm voting red, bro. This is starting to get ridiculous.
I would go as far as to say, if you want a fair paycheck, have a white boss. Like a Jew and a Muslim, and come on, are we kidding? Are we kidding?
So Nick, continue on. So you said George Bush. Who else do you think are the other 9 people responsible the most for the downfall of society in the West or in the United States?
It's the porn industry is a huge part of it because, I mean, this is just like, that's straight up, they're stealing people's souls. I mean, they corrupt people with pornography when they're very young, and then they become, it's almost impossible for them to regain any kind of sexual morality. Like lust is one of the most dangerous sins. So I'd put them up there. I would say the new atheists, like, because this was actually, compared to Europe, a more religious country, a more Christian country. It was only in the 80s, 90s, 2000s that you get this new generation of what they call the new atheists. And so, you know, it's the Richard Dawkins, it's some of these other guys, and even some of the comedians, these Jon Stewart types. There was a very prominent trend in the 2000s where Christianity was ridiculed, religiosity was ridiculed. I think that's a huge part of it as well. You know what's
interesting?
So Bush, pornography,
the new atheists.
I
new
think
atheists. What's four?
it's really the breakdown of the family unit. That's like the biggest.
That's a
impact.
big
all
one,
these
too.
things contribute to that.
Which is
all these
Not
pornography.
believing
Yeah,
in
that's
God,
pornography.
porn,
yeah.
all this will
Yeah,
lead.
it all like
Alliance.
it has a ripple effect. But sorry, continue on, Nick. What's number 4?
Let
for
me
you?
interrupt you real quick. Like you, I think it was you. I'm not sure who told me about this, but like, for example, Jews are the only religion where you can be like Jon Stewart or Larry David. These guys, they don't believe in God. They're atheists, but they still call themselves Jews. Imagine if you walked around, they're still Jews. Like Larry David is a Jew.
Well,
even though
they're
he's
a
believing
people. They're not a religion.
That's what I'm
they're a
saying.
people.
You can't say that Myron grew up Muslim, but he's not. You can't ever say like I'm an atheist Muslim.
No,
it
you
makes no
can't say
sense.
that.
But there are so many atheist Jews that are in prominent positions in entertainment.
Wow.
Like Seth
Well, it's an
Rogen,
ethnic-
Jonah Hill.
It's an ethnic religion. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, they believe that they are elevated above everybody else by God. They're not a universal religion. Muslims and Christians believe everybody, as long as they accept the creed or the faith, can become that
Like a small
religion.
club.
Jews don't believe that.
It's a small club, and you know what's funny is Jordan Peterson. It's like you gotta pick up the sword. That fucking homosexual. They force this fucking spell casting on us and say Judeo-Christian. Fuck you mean Judeo-Christian? Judaism is the rejection of Christ. How the fuck are you linking them? But they always do. CAA and all of them. They all do this, and it's crazy. Every Republican buys into it. Besides you, Nick, every single one of them thinks it's Judeo-Christian.
He's not a Republican though.
Every single.
Yeah.
So sorry, continue on. So you were at 4. And what's 5?
I would say neocons, huge, because what the neocons did is they went in and they took over the conservative movement. There actually used to be real America Firsters, believe it or not, in the GOP. Real America Firsters, real social conservatives. And what you have in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, the neocons, by the way, they are all left-wing Jews who they were left-wing in the 60s, were left-wing in the 70s. And then in the 1970s, there was another war against Israel, and the Soviet Union was financing the Arabs. And so then they became Cold Warriors. Then they wanted the Soviet Union to fall because they said the Soviet Union is working against this country. And so then they became hardcore war hawks. So they used to write for these publications like Commentary Magazine and other
Hold
things.
on, I have to say this real quick, and I hate that I have to stop you this, but I have to ask you this because you're an expert on this. Is that why Putin and all the other Russian leaders work so hard to get rid of them boys oligarchs out of Russia? That's why they
Huge
kicked them
part
out?
of it. Huge part of it, yeah. Because a lot, these because these neocons had their fingerprints all over Russia after the Soviet Union fell, because of course Russia was filled with these people.
Hold up.
So
Yeah.
We're pretending like Putin didn't grow up with a fucking Yiddish family?
I don't think that's true, is it?
There's a whole conspiracy.
No, I don't think Putin's not one of them boys, bro.
No.
He's definitely not one of them boys. But I was gonna say, because you were mentioning how they did that to Russia, and I was thinking in my head, like, wait, hold on. I know that a lot of Russian leaders, prime ministers, presidents, whatever it may be, dictators, pretty much made it a mission to kick them boys that are oligarchs out of Russia.
Well, it's true, because they were all, I mean, all these, all the neocons that were there in the Bush administration when the Soviet Union fell were like that. And there was a major population of them in Russia, and they wanted to facilitate the movement of all those people to Israel. Like, one of the biggest emigration periods was in the 1990s after the Soviet Union fell. A lot of them came to Israel. That's like what Dennis Prager did. If you look at Dennis Prager's background, he worked to facilitate that, and now he's got a spy running Prager University. Anyway, so the point is, these people, they took over the GOP, and used to have these guys like Pat Buchanan, who was a real patriot, wanted to put America first, was against homosexuality, all this kind of stuff. And these guys were driven out by the neocons in the Bush administration, these guys like Bill Kristol, the National Review conservatives, and that had been going on for a long time, but their domination was basically complete and total after the 1990s. It goes all the way back to post-World War II. It was the John Birch Society versus Bill Kristol, or rather William F. Buckley. And then it goes all the way through to today, where you've got like Ben Shapiro versus a guy like me. But it was really after the 1990s that the neocons cemented their control, and there was no longer any kind of social conservatism, no longer any kind of America First flavor. It was all just war hawks, pro-Israel, pro-free market, neoliberal, which happens to be, by the way, the ruling ideology of the Likud party in Israel under Netanyahu. So I would put the neocons in there. I would put feminists in there, just broadly as a category, because the destruction of the family comes from women in the workforce, women being educated, just straight up. Divorce, obviously, it's a big part of it. And, you know, by the way, all the proponents of the suffragette movement, the proponents of women in the workplace, I mean, who do you think all those people were if you go back and you look at the names? We know
I read this
were.
book from the 70s, and it was about like the entertainment industry in the 80s and 90s, like shows like Sex and the City and Cosmopolitan, like pushing the feminist girl boss agenda. And they were writing about how it was like women who were wives and they were at home, and they were knowingly like programming women to be whores with these shows and with the entertainment industry. And if you looked at like who was writing these stories and
creating FOMO in their head, to go out there and do that.
And they were intentionally doing that. Like, it would be like a married housewife who was happy, and they would be knowingly psyoping an entire generation of women.
For thousands of years, everyone's trying to suppress female sexuality. You put one fucking TV show on, and these bitches turn to whores, right? It's very easy. But Nick, as a Catholic, I really don't share your position that the Orthodox Church is on our team. Like, they don't even believe in original sin.
Why? I don't think I ever said that they're on our team. I just said that they're
this
probably
whole
the next
go
best
Russia,
thing.
go Russia. No, it's America first, Catholic theocracy, period. And the Orthodox can be like our peasants.
I support Russia because if the government ever tries to kill me, Russia and China are going to be the only places where I stand a chance at living. Because if I go to like any other country, they can get me. Like, they'll go and kill me. You saw what happened to some of these. And now, I'm not a Nazi, but you saw what happened to some of these Nazis that fled to South America. The Mossad chased them to South America. And like Snowden and these other guys, they're really only safe. The only countries that have meaningful sovereignty are Russia and China. Every other country has an extradition treaty, or the United States could go in and get them. So I want Russia to be as big as possible, because then I have more options where I could live. Same thing with China. If China's bigger, it's like that's more real estate that I can avoid getting murdered by the government.
What else do you think contributed? So you got feminism. Yep, I agree with you 1,000% on that as well. Anything else you could think of that contributed to? You said the neocons.
I would say, well, but you know, it's so complex. I mean, I would say a lot of these intellectuals, like, you know, the so-called Frankfurt School critical theorists, and also the liberals after World War II, because these guys created this consensus about the open society. That's where Open Society Foundation comes from, these liberal intellectuals. And they tried to deconstruct how fascism happened essentially in the 30s and 40s. And they said, and there was all kinds of theorizing about it. They said that, well, it's innate in this so-called authoritarian personality. people that are molded by, strong fathers and tradition develop this authoritarian personality, and that leads to fascism. It's this closed society that leads to, it's the strong gods of nation, family, race. They create a sort of worldview that lends itself to that structure of government. So they said, we've got to undo all that. We got to get rid of race. We got to get rid of the family, get rid of the nation. We have to form a truly open, international, tolerant society so that that kind of regime can never happen. And that's like the foundation of our entire worldview. So I would say these guys, plus that whole, museum industry, which starts cropping up in the 70s and 80s, it turns into an industry of guilt, where they say, what happened in the 30s and 40s was so bad, never again. That's the mantra, never again, never again. And so basically we have to browbeat the population into giving up their father, giving up their race, giving up their nation, so that that kind of solidarity that could produce that effect could never be recreated, never again. In other words, if Germany didn't have a strong racial solidarity, if they didn't have a national solidarity, if they didn't have a strong, charismatic leader, they could have never done what they did. So how can we make sure that never happens again? Remove all those ingredients. And what do you get? Multiracial, multicultural, tolerant, open, liberal, international America. That's the open society. So
when you look at the history of multiracial nations, every single one failed. Like literally, I'm not being hyperbolistic. It's like 99.9% failure. But I do think one of the biggest psyops is the digital age. Like, it wasn't take like a couple thousand people to start a revolution. They used to group up and meet up. Now everyone thinks, oh, you have this internet space on Cozy Rumble. No, you're being watched. The internet actually makes it way easier for the government, way easier. So, but I don't believe in revolution. I like having my wife as a whore.
Hey, real quick, Nick, that event that browbeat us, what's the number?
Oh, no.
Exactly whatever they said is the number. Not one over, not one under.
Less, exactly.
No,
right
all right. I guess. All right.
Do it on your
What the fuck, Myron?
All right, okay. I guess. I mean, I don't know. Half the chat probably doesn't even know what I'm talking about.
Nick, can I give your number to Myron? Maybe you guys could have a combo.
No, we should have some
He has
cookie
my
moments.
number.
I have it. Yeah, I'll have him on the side.
Okay.
So.
Damn, Myron.
What? Is the chat going crazy?
Yeah, bro.
that was out of pocket. Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta.
You're gonna get
This is what you
Sticko's
gotta do,
channel
Nick.
banned.
Myron, just refresh the Wikipedia page. Whatever that number is, that's the exact fucking
Not
number.
one more, not one less.
All right.
I agree.
Fair enough. Okay, we won't go there. Then didn't realize y'all were
Who
worried.
are you? This is why I said he's the most underrated red pill.
Yeah, I mean,
he's trying to
here's the
crack
thing.
my fucking career.
I got a lot of base takes on this, but it's cool. We'll move on. So, anybody else you think is responsible for this fuck shit?
So I don't know what number I'm at, but I mean, you can go through the whole thing, but there's just, it's all over the society. We really don't have a government. What we have is a regime. And so public and private sector, you've got these people that are working together. It's a distinction without a difference. Silicon Valley works with the intelligence agencies. The intel agencies work with the elite universities like MIT, Harvard. I mean, where do you think they hire from? They pick them out of there. And so, people have got to stop thinking about it in terms of like, the government's against us. There is an elite. They run these institutions, all the influential institutions. It's very incestuous. They go to the same schools. They go to the same country clubs. They live in the same zip codes. Now, the point is, like, these people, they're not Christian. They're really not even meaningfully American. It's sort of like a separate breakaway society, and they're not all Jewish. There's Jewish and there's some other types. But people have got to consider that unless and until we get an elite that is Christian, we're not going to have a Christian society. And if we don't have a Christian society, if we're not a society that's illuminated by God, we're not going to have a good, it's impossible to have a good society.
No, not Christian, not Orthodox, not Protestant. It has to be Catholic.
That's what I'm Catholic, so Christian is Catholic to me.
Okay, but there's Orthodox people in chat getting all excited and shit. Stay in your fucking tracksuit, you fucking Slavic fuck.
Yeah, relax.
Break dancing on a fucking cardboard?
Yeah. Don't get your hopes up.
I'll tell you this. You know who's worse than the Jays? The fucking Protestant homosexuals, bro. We don't need them. Cut them out, Nick. We're done with them.
Nick, let me ask you a question, bro. Because, and me and you talked about this a little bit on text, but I kind of want the people to hear this because it really pisses me off when everyone runs around and calls you a white supremacist, right? Because in my mind, I see black people all the time saying, marry black, support black businesses, get you a black queen, keep it in the family, brother, support black, like keep the dollar in the black community, which no one bats an eye. No one says anything. It was like, yeah, fuck yeah, black power, let's go. Black lives matter. But let someone say, marry white woman, white power.
You can't say white power.
White businesses, support Caucasians. Can't do it.
Support Caucasian business.
Like you can't do it. And my thing is this. You cannot fight and fight for equality for one race without giving it to all. If we're going to be able to say Black Lives Matter and support black businesses and marry black queens, we need to be able to give people the ability to also say marry white queens. Go ahead and support white businesses. Keep it Caucasian. But you can't do that. And I think that's crazy because that's the same equality that they want, but they want equality that only suits them.
I don't know what you think about Matt Walsh, but I think he had a really good take on diversity and forced diversity in the workplace and in school. Diversity in America just means anti-white. It just means less whiteness. That's actually
Matt Walsh gives you the watered down bullshit that keeps his paycheck safe. Give me a fucking break, bro.
Well, and that talking point's been around for a decade, and he was against it until it became popular. I mean, saying diversity's code for anti-white has been said in like alt-right circles for 20, 30 years, especially on the internet last 10, and Matt Walsh always opposed it. I remember when the El Paso shooting happened in 2019, I attacked Matt Walsh viciously because he went out there and said, this white piece of shit has got to be put to death, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you talk about a white person that way, like you're a traitor to your own people. I said, you're Catholic and you work for Ben Shapiro. What does that say? I didn't say it quite that way. Now here he is 4 years later and he sounds a lot like me because it got popular. But no, I agree with you. And like, here's the thing. I love all people. Like, and I know it's like totally stereotypical.
I mean, look at this conversation right now. You're here with a Sunnese guy that's Arab and Muslim. You got an Albanian here that's Christian. You got a reformed Haitian/Asian guy that's a Muslim. This is a great conversation that we're having. But people don't want to talk about uncomfortable things. Well, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Continue.
This is a great room with no Jews. I'm liking the call.
Hey, no. We love Jews. There's one. I have one in the guest room.
There's one over there.
Yeah, well, I love all people. I have black friends. I have all kinds of friends. I know it's kind of cringe to say, but they need you to be perceived as a hater so that people don't entertain the ideas.
Nick, I have so many black friends as ethnic camouflage for me. Like, they'll never catch on to me. I just get as many black friends as I can around me. Then they don't know what I'm really about,
Yeah, but why?
Same.
Because I mean, you basically all you say is like, hey, I'm not in for race mixing, which I think, okay, I understand that because a lot of races.
Look what happened to SNEAKO in race mixing. He's the most confused motherfucker. He's a Muslim. He's a Christian. He's a red pill. He's gonna be trans tomorrow. Race mixing keeps you confused, bro.
You look more Arabic than fucking Myron over here. You're talking about Catholicism.
And here's the other thing too, because this is something I get accused of a lot and a lot of hate from people, right? So white people, like, basically it's acceptable to criticize white people and call them racist or whatever. It's not racism if you insult a white person, right? But if I speak up and I say, well, that's kind of fucked up because basically you allow racism if it happens to white people, they call me an Uncle Tom. But who's going to speak up if I don't? Because the white person ain't going to say shit. Let's keep it 1,000. They're going to say, oh, you fucking racist, you KKK member. So if I step up and say, hey, that's not right, that's kind of fucked up, then they call me, Uncle Tom or something. So it's like you can't say anything, right, to kind of call out the bullshit and the hypocrisy of open racism towards Caucasian males. And that's what I think affirmative action, all the shit that we have, I'll take it a step further. It's not an attack on white people. It's an attack on white males.
Yeah.
Heterosexual white males.
That's where I get offended.
That's what it really is. Because white women
white whores, fuck those white whores. They're all whores now. I don't protect them. But it is you're so right.
White women still get the same privileges because they're a woman. So they're able to kind of still walk under that banner of privilege I'm a minority, I'm oppressed, right? Because they could say, oh, the glass ceiling and all these other faggot ass sociology terms that they like to use for lazy people, right? No, it's just that you don't have the same meritocracy as someone else. It is what it is. But I think of it as what it is. It's an attack on Caucasian heterosexual men. That's what it is.
100%, because every other group, not just non-whites, but white women, homosexuals, they are also the beneficiaries of affirmative action. They're also the beneficiaries of all of it. I will say, though, that there is a very prevalent anti-white strain in particular, because although women, you're right, they don't get as much heat as the white men, you do often see it come back. And white women, especially affluent white female liberals, they try so hard to win the approval of black people. They try so hard to win the approval of these minority groups.
They don't get it. If
And
you know
they
what
get
happened-
hated. They get shit on
Nick,
for being white.
Give me a break. It's not just liberal white women. Conservative white women betrayed us so fucking hard. They literally can never actually go into any based fucking opinion. They can only go as far as maximum like Ben Shapiro or some fucking controlled shit. But what are you talking about? Conservative white women, liberal white women is all the same shit at this point.
But I'm talking about specifically these liberal white women. They try so hard to be the savior of black people, to be the savior, and they just get shit on. I mean, they hate them. They make fun of them in the media. They call them Karen, all this. It's sort of like that woman.
The bike situation, right? In New York City, exactly. Everybody was shitting on her. She got fired, all this stuff. She got harassed. And she's just a pregnant lady crying. And her bike was stolen by these people. But in any other circumstance, she'd be at a BLM rally. She'd be saying she's one of us and everything. She's a minority. But they'll never be accepted.
She puts out a statement and she's like, I always fight for equality. And so she's like a turbo liberal. She still gets attacked. Not only the blacks try to steal her bike, but also she's like, hey, give me my bike back. And they're like, you bitch, you're taking those kids' bike. Like, so she gets attacked by the militant BLM types. You're right, though, about conservative women. Like, they all go out there. They're like sleeper feminists because they go out there and they're like, I'm trad. But then they turn into these fucking bossy bitches and they go in there and they're like, I need a real man who isn't afraid of women, who respects me enough to, like, he can handle me. And, like, conservative women, they're sleeper feminists. They pretend to be trad.
You're talking about Tommy Lauren, aren't you? You're talking about that bitch Tommy Lauren.
They're all like that. They're all pick-me's. And then the second they get in the door, they start bossing their man around and they go, you know, if you were a real man, you would do this, that, and the other. It's like, I'm a real man. I'm telling you, shut the fuck up, bitch. Like, that's
there
how
we go, baby.
They don't like that.
Women deserve less.
That's right. But then they go, oh, he's a pig. So, yeah, right. All women are out of line.
See, wait, hold on, Myron, before you ask the next thing, isn't Nick proof that you don't need to sleep with 50 feminists in order to understand female nature and be based? Nick is a virgin and he's saying the same stuff that we're saying on these panels.
Yeah, but bro, that's
to understand women.
Most guys are not going to go to the painstaking.
No, most guys aren't that intelligent
of figuring out what the issues are in society to decipher it.
I mean, it's really one pill to swallow to understand women. They're fucking retards. The Nick swallowed that early, bro, way earlier than me. Once you know they're retards, you understand them. You can get them. It's like selling candy to a baby, but a retarded
What's your
baby.
beef with? Because I had a shit with Ben Shapiro, bro. What's your thing with Ben Shapiro? Because he came at me for, like, you know, because he's a traditional conservative. But yeah, what's your take on him?
We have a long history because very early on, I was hanging out with this girl at Boston University who was working for him at that time, and she was like, "Oh,
I went to Northeastern, bro. Right down the street from you. I went to NU, right down the street."
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So we're right there. And so she texted him and she's like, you got to check out this guy. Like, you should take him under your wing. And Ben Shapiro started looking at my Twitter, and back in December 2016, 6-7 years ago, he tweets at me because I put out a tweet and I said something like, this is, ancient stuff at this point. I put out a tweet and I said, look, if you're China first, go to China. If you're Mexico first, go to fucking Mexico. If you're Israel first, go to Israel. He quote tweets me. I had like 1,000 followers on Twitter. I was 18. He quote tweets me and says, the surest sign of anti-Semitism is accusing a Jew of having dual loyalty. That was our first interaction. Fast forward a few years later, and I'm sending my supporters to Turning Point and to his events. And, my supporters are saying, hey, what's so conservative about gay marriage? What's conservative about open borders? What's conservative about, Israel first? And Shapiro gives a whole speech about me at Stanford. He was going to Stanford for his college tour. He had a whole speech planned. He changed it at the last minute and gave a speech about basically me and saying how I deny the Holocaust and this, that, and the other. Then I bump into him, totally chance encounter, a few months later at the Turning Point SAS conference. And literally, like, we're crossing the street at the same time. And I'm like, hey, you give a 45-minute speech about me. Like, what's up? And he just walks past me. I'm like, oh, okay, so you're going to give a speech about me. You're going to put tweets out about me for years. Now you're not going to look at me. You're going to send hit pieces to Media Matters. Now you don't look in my direction. And
is he one of the first guys that, like, basically, I guess it seems to me, he's one of the first guys that labeled you as one of the anti-S's, aka So he was one of the first because you
100%, yeah.
But so he didn't address that you said Mexico or any of these other countries. He was just focused on the pro homeland part.
Yep, exactly. And at the time, and here's the thing. So I wrote an article when I was because everybody goes, oh, what's your trauma? As I have these so-called radical views. I was a totally normal guy. I'm in college, and Obama is leaving the White House December 2016. And in the UN Security Council, they failed to veto a resolution condemning Israel, which you're never supposed to do. And everyone in the conservative scene said Obama's an anti-Semite for doing that. And I said, how is that anti-Semitic? That's been America's position for 50 years. It was the condemnation of the settlements. I said, that's America's stated policy since 1967. They keep doing it. And we didn't back them up in the Security Council. And anyway, this is all like details. But the point is, I started to realize, like, hey, wait a second. I believe in America first. Obviously, the American government should stand for the American people. And yet the entire conservative movement is saying, no, it's Israel first. Like, no, we have to put them first. We have to defend their interests. And I'm sitting here like, hang on a second. There's a real double standard here. And I started to notice that and be very vocal, and I got smacked down. It's like you said, they started calling me anti-Semitic. They start literally calling my boss, trying to get me fired, sending hit pieces to Media Matters. Daily Wire sending hit pieces to Media Matters about me. April 2017 was the first one. And so that's how I was created. I wasn't born with these views. I was a normie conservative. I was actually watching all that stuff. I started to notice all these contradictions, like, hey, it's America first, and we're supposed to be against this sort of like everything that black people don't like is racist, everything so-and-so doesn't like is Islamophobic, homophobic. But here these people are saying I'm anti-Semitic for asking questions and applying a double standard with regard to America first. And instead of getting an answer, they just said like, well, you're done. You can't work in politics. We're going to try and kill your career. So like that's my origin story. And Shapiro led the charge in 16 and 17, when I was 18 years old, freshman in college.
Just to put things in perspective, because I graduated college from 2013, and it was already starting to become a woke fest in Boston in 2013, dude. I'll never forget. Like, it was fucking already, because that was the year the Boston Marathon bombing happened. Is the year I graduated. I was like a couple of blocks away when the bomb went off. But I could only imagine in 2016 and what it's like now, because the Northeast is just basically it's gone. Like, it's clown world up there right now. It's super liberal. I was at my brother's graduation like last week, and they're over here talking about being all inclusive, using all these strange buzz terms that I didn't hear 10 years ago. So the academia world, I can't even imagine what it's like now. And I would imagine in 2016 it was fairly similar. So for you to be at BU, one of the most liberal schools in the United States, on Com fucking Ave in Boston, right, aka Commie Ave, I'm not surprised.
Well, yeah, I mean, I always made the joke. Most people go to college and they come home like a blue-haired liberal. I went to college and I came home and I was like, Mom, Dad, you'll never guess what didn't happen. They're like, that's a joke I always tell, because I literally came home like, guys, it's all bullshit. It's all a lie. And my parents, initially, they were like, what kind of hate are you bringing into our home? We didn't raise you like this. And eventually, I argued with them about this for years. They kind of let it go. But I went out there and like anybody, I just started reading books and talking to people, and something was in the air in 2016 with the Trump movement. There was this flourishing of information and ideas. That's when the censorship started. After Trump got elected, Google and Facebook got together and they literally said, we have to ensure this never happens again. And that's when fake news comes from Facebook. Facebook said after the election that the reason Trump got elected was because of unverified fake news. So they were going to put in place some moderation tool where it would warn people, if you're going to read a Breitbart article, it's fake news. If you read an InfoWars article, it's fake news. Trump co-opted it at his first press rally during the transition, and he owned it. But it's like, that was the conspiracy, was to shut down. And that's why the Trump revolution is so important, because they shut down the internet. They weaponized the legal system, because what Trump represents is like a true revolution, because he was opposed by every part of the establishment. And it coincided. This was the first election where adoption of social media and smartphones was as high as it was. 2012, you didn't have adoption of smartphones and social media like you did in 16. So it coincided with this like Gamergate, 4chan, Twitter being adopted, free and open internet, unprecedented proliferation of information. And as a consequence, boom, for the first time ever, political outsider saying America first fucking surges to the top of the polls, wins in a dramatic upset, and then they took huge efforts afterward with the FBI, special counsel, with the Twitter, Facebook, all that, to shut it all down. And they achieved that in 2020 with the fake election, the mail-in ballots. At this point, it's total censorship. And, you know, what we're doing now is like we're recapturing that. Like what you see on Rumble, what you see with Elon Musk buying Twitter, to some extent is allowing this, is we're reopening up the channels of information. And as such, people are becoming red-pilled. Like now people are just finding this stuff out. Otherwise, if you do a Google search or go on Wikipedia, it's all fucking curated, controlled, regulated information. And as such, it's a very narrow percentage of the population that's ever going to begin to understand what's going on. So that's like the big picture.
So basically, it's up.
We're fucking back. Okay, fuck it, we ball. Like it's the last chance here in 24.
Nick, do you credit the Bannon's strategy, or do you think the vacuum Obama left was like, oh, pretty much Trump was the first one to say, fuck this shit, let's do this? It would have happened either way, or do you credit some people in Trump's team who helped him for 2016?
It was all Trump. Like, because what you got to understand is when Trump announced in June 2015, it was just him and like 5 guys, literally. It was like him, 2 full-timers, 2 part-timers. They would just pick which city to fly to.
And they were like Pence. They were quiet guys. They didn't fucking have any authority over Trump.
Exactly. It was Trump's campaign. And then Bannon came in at the end. People don't realize that. And Bannon's a fucking spy for the Mercer family. And
oh, yeah. Oh, really?
I'll say another big thing that I was talking about this earlier on the PBD podcast. Like another thing that made Trump so successful in 2016 is that he did it as a businessman and not a politician. What I mean by that, you know, make America great again, selling hats, lock her up, crooked Hillary. Like all these slogans have stood the test of time. Like I don't even remember what Hillary's campaign slogan was. Even Obama, people talk shit about Obama, but he was a great fucking marketer.
Yes,
Change, you know, yes we can. We need, 8 more years of no, because Bush had such bad approval ratings on his way out when 9/11 and how he handled Iraq, whatever. So the thing about Trump is that he was a master marketer, and that's what ended up, differentiating him from Hillary. But people were just so confident. I'll be honest, even me, I was like, there's no way Trump's going to win. Hillary's going to take this shit. I didn't even vote in 2016. That's how little I cared. And I was like, he's not going to win this. When he won, I was like, what the fuck is going on? So
I knew. I predicted it. I put money on it.
Okay. And here's the other thing, too.
I was a diehard.
Because you mentioned that, they're putting these investigations, which we could talk about the New York investigation, which is 100% bullshit. I went ahead and looked into that. Falsifying business records in the New York statute. It's basically a fucking misdemeanor. They're trying to hit him with the felony because they're saying that it was in furtherance of another felony, which is why it's going to be the felony version, which is retarded. That's bullshit. I read the lawsuit against him from that bitch that claimed that he raped her. Bro, all cap, if you read the lawsuit, it sounds like a fucking novel. Here's the other thing no one talks about. This woman that made these accusations against Trump, she released the excerpt from the book of where she got raped by Trump out on a magazine article first to see how it would turn out. Once she got a bunch of people reading it like, wow, this is cool, blah, 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 she published the book and went on tour. So for people to sit there and say that this is a real accusation, etc., this woman only came forward when she saw the Harvey Weinstein shit, saw that girls were coming forward, saw Trump campaigning, and noticed, yo, I can make a bag off of this shit by promoting a book while simultaneously saying that the presidential candidate raped me 30 fucking years ago, which is ridiculous. And then the other thing too, which is the only case I'm worried about, which I'd love to get your perspective on this, Nick, is no one's paying attention to the classified documents case that they're going against him. That's the only thing that has me worried because, I used to work in law enforcement. Y'all know this. Whenever you deal with national defense information or NDI, whatever, and I have to tell this to all the Trump supporters because I'm a Trump supporter too, but this is something that worries me. It doesn't matter if Trump declassified the documents. The issue is that they're national defense information and it's stuff on military strategy. Yeah. That in itself violates the Espionage Act of 18 U.S.C. 793E or 793. I mean, which is what they're going after him for.
Forget all of it. Let's just sum it up with that's the ugliest whore on earth. Nobody buys this shit. Right? We need
which one? The rape thing?
The fucking the woman who said he touched me.
Oh yeah,
the
bro. I'll pass that, man.
Me.
I'm on the classified stuff.
We're gonna start with she's ugly. That's how we defend Trump.
It was funny because he said that wasn't my type either. And honestly, the big reason why he got found liable on that thing is because at the deposition he didn't care. He was making jokes and shit. He didn't give a fuck at that deposition, and they used that to say, oh, you're liable. So for all the morons out there that don't understand the difference between civil and criminal court, civil is preponderance of the evidence, which basically means 51%, 49%. Beyond a reasonable doubt is criminal court, which means you got to push way before. I would say more like a 90-10. So people are like, oh, lock him up. He got found guilty of sexual assault. No, idiot. He got found liable, which is only 51%. And a lot of that came from her bullshit witnesses that she called that night and his indifference during the deposition, making fun of her and shit like that. But what's your take, Nick, on the NDI/search warrant that they did at his house last year? That's what has me worried.
I believe that was just a fishing expedition. Because
Agreed.
if you look at it, it was totally irregular. The way that they went in there without telling him in the early morning, they locked down the house. They just took a... Because what they're doing, and this is what they're doing with everybody, with Alex Jones, with Ricky Vaughn, with the people at the Capitol, they are trying to create this chilling effect. They are coming up with these creative prosecutions. In the case of Trump, very aggressive fishing expedition. And the goal is lawfare against patriots, to destroy the lives of Trump and all his lieutenants, but also to create this chilling effect so that nobody wants to take up any leadership role against the regime ever again. And you look across the board at every one of these, it's really not about that person in themselves. Like they're, for example, doing lawsuits against Charlottesville rally goers from 5 years ago, from 6 years ago. They just charged a couple of guys, tiki torch marchers, in April from years ago. And so the point is they want to bring forward the Charlottesville guy. They want to get Alex Jones on defamation. They want to get Trump on the sexual assault, but also they want to send guys to bring every document out of his storage room in Mar-a-Lago. They want to go after, and the goal is to defang the current resistance and to create a chilling effect to prevent the next resistance. Because taken together, as I said, what Trump represents is a serious challenge to the regime's power. And so it's about sort of decapitating the leadership, and then it's about making sure that the base that launched that attack can never reconstitute itself. So, I mean, when it comes to the NDI, I mean, I think every president brings documents. Obama's done this. Joe Biden has documents. And, you know it better than me because you worked with law enforcement. But in my opinion, these are the sort of clerical things that happen all the time. It's like you said with New York. They have to have a secondary crime for it to rise to a felony, for them to, for it to be a felony.
I was shocked that they even charged them, because they still to this day have not disclosed what that other crime is to substantiate the original charge of falsifying business records. I've heard some rumors that it's like some election bullshit where was it Cohen, his lawyer, that basically was paying money to an election fund or to a campaign, whatever, and that's what ended up jamming Cohen up because of Stormy Daniels payoff. And they're saying, oh, that's the prerequisite crime. But in my head, I'm like, wait, hold on one sec, motherfuckers. That's a federal crime. That's not a state crime. What violation of New York statute is Trump violating that's a felony that you can go ahead and prop up this bullshit falsifying charge? But see, the thing is that the mainstream public ain't going to dig into this and look into it a little bit more. And the more and more I look into it, when I read that fucking lawsuit from that bimbo, when I read this, I actually read the search warrant from the FBI, by the way, on what they used to go into his house. And just for the audience that's, here might not be aware, anytime the feds want to search your house, they have to support something called they have to provide something called a search warrant. And in the search warrant, you have the search warrant, and then you have to have an affidavit, right? That affidavit delineates all your probable cause as to why you have the information or the probable cause to go in and search the house. And then you have to list the crimes that are in violation. So in this case, when I went through it to summarize it for y'all, they put 18 U.S.C. 7093, right? Which is basically like the Espionage Act. Y'all can look it up. Saying that he has national defense information, right? Because people keep talking about, oh, he declassified it. That's kind of irrelevant. And when I read through the affidavit, it's heavily redacted, which leads me to one of two things. More than likely, there was some information in there that was sensitive, but what I think more than likely is there's informants involved, right? Because they want to protect the source of the who it came from, and the FBI calls it confidential human sources. And if Trump is able to read, and I'm sure Trump probably knows from looking through some of the stuff you could put two and two together, who may or may not have cooperated against them. But I agree with you that it's a fishing expedition, and I've never seen a president go down for something like this. I mean, he was in talks with NARA. Yeah, was it the most expedient? Probably not. But for them to go ahead and do a search warrant, get a search warrant signed by a fucking judge and go search his house, that's crazy to me. And that's what has me concerned, because I want him to run in 2024. But if these guys try to get him up on some bullshit espionage charge for having national defense information,
dude,
they're basically trying to say he's a spy. For the audience out there, simplify for y'all, they're trying to charge him under the same act that they charged Robert Hansen with, the former FBI agent that sold secrets to the fucking Russians, Anna Montez that sold secrets to the Cubans. They're trying to charge him with that same goddamn statute as a a former president of the United States.
This nigga based as fuck. What the fuck? This nigga spitting, bro.
Yeah,
Holy shit. Now give us black crime statistics.
Hey, welcome to Rumble. Welcome to the Rumble stream. And I'm giving fucking SNEAKO some shit here, man, because he comes on my pod all the time. But no, it's great to have a conversation with you, Nick, because obviously you understand this stuff. But it's crazy to me that like they're doing this to a president. Like if this isn't a targeted attack, I don't know what is, man.
Well, straight up, and that's the nature of it, is that it's all political, and people don't realize the stakes here. I mean, everybody interprets it and they evaluate it like, did Trump commit the crime or did he not commit a crime? And it belies the nature of it, which is that it's not about the crime. That's what makes it political, is that it could be anything. What they're looking for is anything that they can use to either knock him out of the race and prevent him from running, or just to hit him with lawfare. And people don't realize the purpose of lawfare. The prosecutors have infinite resources. The goal of lawfare is to tie you up in a very precarious legal situation. So you have to meet deadlines. You have to show up for various things. If you don't get the procedural stuff, you're in very severe legal peril. It's very costly. It's very time consuming. Trump is embroiled in 4 or 5 investigations between Fulton County, Manhattan. Like you said, it's the Espionage Act. It's the January 6th investigation, which is ongoing. And so even if they don't get a conviction, even if they don't get a penalty, the process is the punishment. It's to make it expensive. It's to make it time consuming. It's to imperil him in other ways. If he lies to the feds, then they got him on a separate charge. Like throughout the special counsel, they didn't even really get anybody on anything substantive. But they got him on obstruction of justice because if you even misremember something with the FBI, they can charge you for that and say, oh, you're lying. They did that with Bannon. They subpoenaed Bannon and they said, well, you're in contempt. And so these are the kinds of things they try to do. And I think people need to think about the scenario in 24. You've got a president who in 2020 said the result of the election is not legitimate, and I refuse to go down without a fight. And how it ended in 2020 was a siege of the United States Capitol or a riot, whatever you want to call it. Now you have a prospect where he is going to be the nominee. Like, all things being equal, he is the presumptive nominee. It's going to be Trump, most likely, versus Biden. If Biden wins, do you think Trump is going to accept the results?
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. If Trump wins, I mean, what's the regime going to do if Trump wins and he's talking about the Schedule F plan where he says he's going to reclassify federal workers? Normally, an incoming administration fires 4,000 people and hires 4,000 of their own people. Trump is talking about reclassifying federal workers so he can fire 50,000 bureaucrats in the executive branch when he gets in next time. Now, do you think the Democrats, do you think the left are going to let Trump go in and replace 50,000 bureaucrats? Of course not. So we're facing the possibility in this next election of another January 6th, another election denial, another all that, or another 2016, but with a fucking vengeance, where Trump comes in and he's like, look at what you did to me. Look at how you tried to impeach me again, and you tried to investigate me. These are 2 bad outcomes. And so what the regime is saying is it just can't happen. Like, he can't be the nominee. It can't even come down to that because an election night between Trump and Biden, they've already fucking lost again. So by any means, whether it's Espionage Act, whether it's January 6th, whether it's whatever, they need to make sure that before the convention, the Republican convention, July or August next year, Trump is out of the fucking race. That's the goal. And then the goal with everybody else is to bankrupt them with lawfare, like Ricky Vaughn or some of these other people, Alex Jones, I mean, that's another case like with this woman who brought her civil case. The ADL and SPLC were looking for somebody that had a case against Alex Jones, a creative case that they could go and try to take everything he's worth because they couldn't shut him down any other way. And now he owes what? fucking $1 trillion?
Like $1 billion,
damages?
which is crazy.
I mean, Nick, it's the mad scientist. That's who he owes money to. But Nick, I'm wondering, Trump is 2 months late, won't get on fucking Twitter. What the fuck is going on?
Oh, he will. Apparently, there was some Twitter space where somebody in the know said that he's planning to come back, and I think he should.
But the stuff he's talking about on Truth Social is just so retarded to me. He's still talking about like the death number toll from COVID in New York versus Florida. Yeah. Why do you think that that's the best way to hit DeSantis? The best thing he posted was that meme because showing DeSantis with Klaus Schwab.
But here's the thing. The reason why he keeps doing that, even though I agree with you, it's a weak ass flex, is because it's a tangible number that he can keep using against DeSantis. That, hey, look at all the people that died in the pandemic under your watch. Look at all the gun crime you got, etc. He's basically, because you got to keep in mind, Florida's a big state for swing votes. So he needs to win Florida. And the thing is, let's keep it 1,000. We all love DeSantis down here in Florida. I like him. So most people in America don't know who DeSantis is or care. But Floridians definitely remember and know who he is because he kept the state mostly open during the 2020. So I think the big reason why Trump is attacking DeSantis so hard is because he needs to topple him from the mantle in Florida. Because Florida is a big state for Trump. So he's got to keep hitting DeSantis with raw numbers. Hey, this many people died when he was in office, even though it's a weak flex with COVID, but it's a flex nonetheless, even though it's a gay one.
Nick, when you spoke to Trump, there's no way you didn't fucking talk about demographics. Did he say anything?
Well, I'll tell. So I'm coming down to Florida, I think in July. Or I think August 1st, I'm going to be down there. And I want to tell you behind the scenes some stories.
I almost got you. I knew you're not going to answer this one. I almost got you. I asked it.
You're not going to believe it. Well, let me, I don't want to give any hints, but I'll tell you in private, it was better than demographics. Let's just say that. But what I did tell him.
Oh my God. Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. But let me just say this. I did go down there and I told them, and you know, it's so funny because everybody says to me, they're like, you don't get it. Like, I remember during Kuiper War when we were antagonizing Charlie Kirk, they're like, you don't understand Trump. I'm a diehard Trump supporter. Like, I grew up with Trump. And when I met him, I told him, I'm like, listen, you are one of the greatest Americans that ever lived. Like, I love you. I have nothing to say other than thank you. What you have done is just the greatest thing I've ever seen in my lifetime. But the thing that I told them, I said, look, you need to attack DeSantis. I said, because you're right. I said, I see a lot of social media influencers and they flipped on you and they're saying, you shouldn't have called him DeSanctimonious at that rally before the midterms. I said, but he deserves it and then some. I said, he's an ingrate. You're the one why he's the governor. I said, you need to attack DeSantis. I said, because in 2015, you ran against the party. I said, and I'm not a Republican. I said, I support you. I said, and that's how everybody else feels. I said, we don't care about the Republican Party. We're here for you. We love you. We're not here for McCarthy. We're not here for McDaniel or DeSantis. I said, and I miss the way that you said you would run as an independent if you didn't win the nomination and let the GOP die. I said, because the GOP needs to die. And I remember during the dinner, he's like, boy, this guy gets me. He points at me. He's like, this guy's hardcore. He goes, you really get me. And I'm like, I do. I understand you. I love you. Like,
bro, you came a long way. Hold on.
Nick, you're like, I'm you, but better.
No, I'm like, if I could compare myself to Trump, he's the leader. I mean, he's the guy.
Remember when he announced and we called and we were both wearing the MAGA hats and you were depressed and said it was low energy and Trump wasn't the 2015. You're back full force Trump train again, right?
Hell yeah.
Nick,
DeSantis is going to bring the best out.
I remember I was in Colombia talking to those fucking immigrants and I was all angry. I'm like, I've had enough. I had to do some kind of operation. So I go to my hotel and I'm like, all right, time to watch Nick. And you're totally shitting on Trump's comeback speech. Yeah. That's the first time in my life I said, this kid's a Fed. Fuck this kid. I got so angry at you. I kept it to myself. I didn't tell anyone. But I was so angry because you were like, it was boring. Like, he was talking about vax and he didn't really say this shit's stolen.
I think he has to go down that road because number one, if you talk about the election being rigged, automatic cancel. If you guys noticed on the Nelk interview that he just did, they cut it up a lot.
They put it on Rumble though.
Yeah, the full one, it's a little bit longer, I'm assuming, on Rumble.
Yeah, so they put the full version on Rumble.
So they cut the last one a lot because I'm sure he went to the election stuff. So the big flex that Trump has you gotta remember, a lot of normies out there. The big flex he has for the normies is he did XYZ during COVID and prevented deaths. That's his biggest flex for the normies. Y'all got like here people, we got like almost 10,000 watching right now. Most Americans are retards. They're not going to have this conversation can't occur between 99% of Americans. So what does Trump have to do? He has to go off the lowest common denominator. I had less people die during COVID. Oh, good. I'll vote for him. Because most Americans are retards.
I didn't really think that most Americans would be persuaded by that. I think that they want to hear more Klaus Schwab stuff when he posted that meme about the World Economic Forum. I think if he positions himself as the outsider more, that's what's really energizing people. And who is energized about COVID numbers in 2023? Do people still care? Like, I think everyone's really past that. I don't know.
Bro, you'd be surprised. I still saw people wearing masks when I was in Connecticut last week.
Bro. Let me ask you, what do you guys think about this?
The Northeast is behind. Sorry.
Today, Leafy, have you guys been paying attention to this? Leafy got one of his videos because I watched your guys' stream. By the way, it was excellent. Zherka and SNEAKO. I watched your dinner on Friday, and then I saw today Leafy got one of his videos pulled because Destiny reported it. What do you guys make of this that's going on?
Well, here's what
here?
it is. Leafy showed like some of Mel's leaked nudes on stream.
Whoa.
So what? She's not OnlyFans.
Well, she
I mean,
doesn't.
what,
She,
so
her
people
just.
didn't pay $10.99 or whatever.
Well, she doesn't post nudes on OnlyFans. She's posting like bikini stuff.
So you're defending this?
Well, I don't think you should post somebody's leaked nude, like leaked stuff. I mean, like, look, I'm defending it because it's in the Rumble terms of service that you can't post that stuff on here. Is that free speech to post somebody's naked pictures? That's like, look, we say porn has nothing to do with speech. I don't think porn should even be on Twitter.
She's polyamorous. You pay $5, you see the bikini. I mean, there's no but there's no nudes on her OnlyFans. Come on, that seems like. Here's the thing. I feel like me and Destiny were cool for a long time. Well, at least I tried to be nice to him. I tried to be his friend, but he crossed a line today. And he said he was going to get Leafy's deal with Rumble pulled. Did you hear that? He said, I'm going to get, he said, I'm going to call my agent at Rumble and I'm going to get Leafy's contract revoked from Rumble. And I said, you know what? Fuck this guy. Like, he crossed a line. We ride for Leafy. This guy sucks. And I pulled my punches. I was nice to him for a long time. But now the energy's like, you know what? This guy's a cuck, and it's fucking over for him. So that's how I feel about it. I don't know what you guys feel about that news, but I know you had the wife on the show. Is that why you're saying that, SNEAKO? Is it because you had the wife on your show on Friday?
I like Mel. I like Mel.
Nick, come on. There's a human component to this. You met her in person.
Wow.
She likes you too. And you like her.
Zherka, wow. Now I'm surprised at you.
Well, I'm going to look into it, but what you're telling me is he nuked the channel because her nudes got leaked, but she has an OnlyFans?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's on her OnlyFans?
It's not on her OnlyFans.
No, what's on the is it slutty or not?
It's bikini stuff.
That's the same shit. Isn't that nudes and bikini the same fucking shit? Was it G-string?
I don't know. I haven't taken a look at it.
You're gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay $4.99 right now. We gotta get to the bottom of this.
What do you think, Myron?
I have zero clue what's being talked. I don't know who Leafy is. I don't know if I've ever met Mel before. So I have zero clue what's going on right now.
I said to stick up for my guy.
I mean, coming out like you're a political operative and you're coming out with this revenge porn is okay shit. It's a bad look, bro. It's a bad. What the fuck are you doing?
Wow, that sounds like simping. You're only saying that because you met her at the dinner. That's the only
saying that because I didn't get. I'm only saying that.
She's sleeping with other guys. She's in an open relationship.
I've never like even liked her like that. But I didn't get $250,000 from. Like, you guys are all rich, and you guys are here talking about revenge porn live, and then you talk about the Jews.
Revenge porn. Listen, man.
They're saying she was on the show
She
before. I don't
belongs
remember
to
being
the
on the show, guys.
streets.
I don't even remember her being on the show.
Mel was on your show before with Destiny.
I didn't even
She had blue hair back
I'm
then.
honestly, I'm a little bit surprised. That's the most blue pill thing I've heard the entire night. Leafy's an original trans hater. Like, this guy's awesome. And Destiny's making phone calls.
Nick. Let me catch up.
Okay, but look,
I'll give you a chance.
Hold on, Nick. I'm a fan of Leafy too. I like him, and like I have him on my stream. But the reason he was doing it is just like he has nothing to do with Mel or Destiny. He's doing that to get their attention. Like that, he has no beef with them. He wasn't doing it like it's this big statement about Groyper or America First. He's just trying to get some attention.
So what?
You know why he's doing that? Because they're a couple of degenerates, and it's about time somebody said it.
You're really gonna genuinely say that? Is that why you think he did that?
Straight up, yeah, because it's degenerate, and that whole situation is it's a sordid affair. I think Zherka showed it. How that relationship started. I was talking to somebody about it. Do you know that Destiny went out there with like his 18-year-old fan who was dating Mel in an open relationship, and Destiny like slipped in there and then brought her home like a super fan of his, and now they're in this poly relationship over here. You know, I was quiet about it for a long time, and here's why. Because I said, well, Destiny's got ideas. I want to debate his ideas. He has a sordid, weird personal life. That's okay. And then he goes out on Twitter and fucking lies and said, oh, Nick has made weird personal comments about my relationship. I'm the only one that never did. I'm the only one that was nice about it. I'm the only one that didn't give him a hard time about it. Then he goes and lies on it. Fine. You want me to make personal comments? It's fucking disgusting. It's fucking degenerate. That whole scene is gross. he was allowed to go on that podcast and say, here's why polyamory is based. Here's why, other people having sex with my wife is actually cool. Fuck that. It's gross. And I think, after he got Leafy involved and he's talking about pulling his contract, it's over. It's over. I'm declaring a Groiper war against Destiny. I'm taking the gloves off. Fuck this guy. That's what I'm saying straight up. And, you guys, I'll give you a chance to watch it, but I'm a little surprised. You're like, well, but she didn't have nudes on her OnlyFans. Oh, give me a break. Hey, wait a second. If you want to see my wife's tits, you got to pay $10.99 a month and when she's wearing a bikini, or you have to fuck her in Miami. But you don't go post a naked picture of her on Rumble. That's against the terms of service. I'm sorry, that's a blue.
But the important thing is looking at the intention, and we both know that he wasn't doing it as some sort of big stand of degeneracy. He's been tweeting at them nonstop and like really trying to get a conversation with them. It has nothing to do with like, oh yeah, this is for the Groipers, this is for America first. He barely even knows what happened on 9/11.
He knows what's up. I think it's disgusting. I think it's gross.
Come on, man.
No, like people watch this, young people watch this. God forbid anybody get it in their heads that they're going to get involved in this. What do they call it? Drugs, vacation, something else. Disgusting. It's totally opposed. It's this liberal nihilism.
What you're really trying to say, and I'll sum it up, Destiny's a fucking homosexual.
Let me ask you a question.
All right, I'm following the Catholic Crusader Nick, okay? I'm declaring war on blue pill cucks.
My opinion on Destiny is I don't agree with his views at all. However, I get along with him as a person. He's a nice guy. And
I don't.
I understand. I understand.
He's nice until you put his
I don't know his wife. I don't know who his
Myron.
I literally don't know. They're saying I met her before. I don't. If she walked in the room right now, I would not know what she looks like.
Let me explain to you like one thing that you might like. I brought Nick on a panel last summer with Abba, and Abba, like that's when he was still like, oh, I'm your friend, SNEAKO. And then I brought Nick on a panel and Abba ran away. Like he just left the call before he even he didn't want to speak to him. He got scared. And then afterwards he texted me. He's like, why would you bring me on? It's bad optics to be associated with the white supremacists. I can't believe you would set me up.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, bro, I have Nick on. You've been on a panel with Nick before. Like Abba got so scared.
Mr. I am full of integrity and I say the truth and all this other bullshit.
That was the reason he switched up on me, was bringing Nick on a panel, like basically like hijack, like I don't want to be associated because sometimes you don't know the facts and I look stupid. Basically he's saying like he looked like an Uncle Tom around Nick because Nick is just speaking about race realism in front of a black guy.
Yeah,
and Abba had no rebuttal.
I didn't know that.
Nick, you're the STD of truth on the internet. Every time you come around these guys.
Yo, so besides the Destiny situation, etc., which I'm not privy to at Leaf. I don't know who Leafy is, but I'm sure he's probably a nice guy.
He's good. He's cool.
Who do you think, and this is my last question, then I got to get out of here and go to sleep. Who do you think was responsible for JFK? You alluded to it earlier, but I've been doing a bunch of research on this. The magic bullet, the grassy knoll, them saying that 7 wounds were created off of one fucking bullet, all this bullshit. Take it away.
Jew Mafia. Jew Mafia. Jew Mafia.
No.
I'm thinking of 3. I'll tell y'all who I think it is. I got 3 people in mind, or 3 people / organizations, but Nick, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, I think it's Israel, 100%. There's layers.
Alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they are solely responsible, and they had.
You don't
I think
the
they
CIA?
had elements in the CIA. They had elements. In the CIA.
Okay, I was gonna say I think the CIA was involved too, and the Italian mafia. But
the CIA is a patsy, and here's why. There's layers to it. There's like the JFK conspiracy, which is that he was killed by the intelligence community, and that's like promoted as the conspiracy. Like perfect example. There's a film in the 1990s called JFK. Directed by Oliver Stone, starring Kevin Costner, big Hollywood picture. That was produced by an Israeli spy. The producer on that film is Mossad. And that film lays the blame at the feet of the CIA. This is a big Hollywood blockbuster that says the JFK assassination was not a lone gunman. It was the CIA's fault. So you have this layer of like, was JFK killed by the lone gunman? No. Who was it? CIA. That's layer 1. Layer 2 is like within the JFK conspiracy community, there's an attempt to suppress the involvement of the Israelis, of the Mossad. And again, you can't understand the JFK assassination without understanding the RFK assassination, because RFK never believed the official story. He was the attorney general under Jack Kennedy. And he went out there to his Fred Kennedy. He went out to Fred Kennedy's friends in MI6 and said, hey, I want you to investigate my brother's killing, because I don't think it was Lee Harvey Oswald. They hired 2 French spies to produce a report on who actually killed JFK. A week before RFK was assassinated, they delivered the report. Never opened in June. I think it was June 1968. So RFK, it was the same story. RFK wins the California primary. He was on track to become the Democrat nominee, jumps off the stage, he gets shot. Just one problem. Sirhan, Palestinian, shoots him with a gun that only holds 6 bullets, yet 8 shots rang out. Also, Sirhan approached from the front, but RFK has shots from the back as well. This is all in the police report. And so they say that it was actually a security guard that was also shooting. Sirhan goes forward and says, I don't remember it. I was a victim of some kind of MK Ultra, and they did some psychological techniques, and they found out that it's true. He didn't actually recollect doing that. And so basically RFK was killed because if he was going to go and win the Democrat primary, become the president, he was going to go and investigate his brother's killing. They couldn't let that happen. So I believe that when you look at both of them and sort of understand them together, very similar with like 9/11 and ISIS. Same deal. It's like Israel did 9/11 to bring us to Iraq. Obama ends the Iraq war. Then ISIS comes out of nowhere, and they apologize for attacking Israel. And Israel loves them, and all their videos are fake.
With these theories, because I was just going to say with the 9/11 situation, if you look at 9/11, you look at like, Loose Change, or you look at like Richard Gage, some of these other guys, whatever, they never, ever talk about Israel with 9/11. The only 9/11 person I've seen that like covers Israel fully, covers the DEA portion, covers the Mossad portion, all the traveling companies, etc. Because there's a whole DEA element to 9/11 that no one talks about, anthrax, whatever. It's Ryan Dawson. But with all these conspiracy theories, it always ends at them boys. It starts with CIA, ends with CIA, never anybody else.
And they run a Hegelian dialect with like a Christian Muslim theme always, but they'll never put the third answer, right? It's interesting. But before I forget, for JFK, have you watched Everything is a Rich Man's Trick, the documentary?
No.
None of you?
I'll check it out though.
That. Oh, that's on YouTube. That's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
It's on YouTube?
Oh,
it's on YouTube. Then.
If it's on YouTube, it has to be a psyop to some extent.
No, it's buried. You have to kind of dig.
So you think it was 100? So you don't think the Italian mafia was involved as well? Because I've always said that the Italian mafia was involved, and the reason why is because I've been researching it, La Cosa Nostra, a bunch. At the time, Kennedy and his brother, who was the attorney general, were going hard on organized crime. They were bringing in these fucking guys, calling them in to testify, etc. And they were trying to go hard on them. And the Italian mafia was very close with the Jewish mafia, and that link had been, I'm sure you know this, Nick, but for the audience, it had been established through Mayor Lansky and Lucky Luciano. For those of you guys that don't know, Lucky Luciano is the godfather pretty much of the mafia. He's the one that pretty much came into power, created the commission, created the 5 families, etc. He's the one that got La Cosa Nostra its real,
and
like,
they also built
in the 30s.
they also built every set in Hollywood. The Italian mafia built for the Jews.
Yeah, so Lucky Luciano was like this with Mayor Lansky, because Mayor Lansky was critical to getting Lucky Luciano out of prison and securing a deal to have him deported to Italy instead of facing a bunch of prison time, etc. And we all know what Mayor Lansky, what team he's for. So, and Mayor Lansky also, another thing that people don't know is that he had compromising photos of J. Edgar Hoover.
Because
homosexual,
FBI homosexual, transsexual, all that.
The first director of the FBI had a bunch of allegations of being gay and banging with his fucking assistant director, right? So Mayor Lansky had these photos, and again, the Epstein, hey, if you don't do what we want, you're not going to get what you want. So with JFK, I've always looked at it like the mafia was involved too, because they were pressing these guys, bringing them in, and obviously mafia is real big on silence, omerta. And then you have obviously people like Lansky, so them boys was involved. And the other thing too that Kenny was real big on is he was pressuring Ben Gurion on the nuclear situation, and that the nuclear site. You said it earlier, Demoa, right?
Yeah.
So he was also like highly suspicious that they were stealing uranium from the United States. So I think between the mafia, them boys wanted to get the nuclear bomb, and the CIA. Oh, and then also Kennedy was really anti-military industrial complex as well, right? If I'm not mistaken. And he was trying to end the Vietnam shit, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So
yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they say. I feel like that's the patsy. I feel like that's the excuse they gave, because Lee Harvey Oswald traveled to the Soviet Union. He was a communist sympathizer. Then he was a Cold Warrior against the communists. And so I think that was the patsy, was to say, well, the CIA killed him because they didn't like how Kennedy shut down Bay of Pigs, and they didn't like how he didn't want to go to war during Cuban Missile Crisis, because they were freaked out that Kennedy wasn't a hawk against the Soviet Union. But I think that was part of the con.
See, the thing about Nick is Rome, Jesuits, Italians, he's not gonna fucking insult, but definitely, come on, Nick. Italians were working with the Jews. Come on, he's right about this one.
No, listen.
You don't
the
agree?
Italian mafia, the lot can be said about them, but they were good people, okay? I have a lot of respect for the Chicago outfit.
That's a political operative right there. Nick knows.
Well, I mean, you don't.
Nick knows where.
Will you at least, Nick? Let me ask you this: would you at least, I guess, acknowledge that Lucky Luciano and Mayor Lansky were tight
Meyer
like
Lansky
this?
and the Italian, 100%,
Yeah.
But I have to say, I mean, the Chicago outfit was very good to my family at one point, and so I can't throw them under the.
No, fair enough. Well, here's the thing.
Privilege.
No, here's the thing. The people that were really responsible for smuggling the guns and doing all the bullshit, it was the 5 crime families out of New York. It wasn't the Chicago outfit, Al Capone and them guys out there in the Midwest. Mayor Luciano was a New York guy. He wasn't a Chicago guy.
But Chicago is involved with the Jews in like Vegas and you know, organized crime. They all roll together in various ways. But you're right about that, about Meyer Lansky and about Luciano. And
Traficante too was big in Kennedy's death as well, because he was also pissed off because the Bay of Pigs situation, his casinos got fucked up when Fidel Castro took office.
Yeah.
So, not even took
Justin
office,
Trudeau's
but dictated.
dad, you mean?
Yeah, because
but
Fidel
I'm
Castro
biased
came in
because I'm Italian
and closed all the goddamn casinos down, fucked up Mayor Lansky and Traficante's operation. Kennedy didn't go ahead and get the air support that he wanted because he stuck it out in Cuba longer, hoping, because they got Kennedy in. The mafia got Kennedy in. And then once he got in, he was like, all right, we're going to go hard on crime, whatever. So they're like, what the fuck? Yo, you're supposed to protect our casinos in Cuba. You're supposed to protect us. We're going to work together and kill Fidel Castro. But when he backed out,
that's where it split. That's where it splits. A lot of people say, oh, JFK went hard on crime, but others say he went after banking. Where do you go, Nick?
I think the primary reason they killed him was because of the nuclear plant. Because if you look at the 1960s, Mossad was going hard. And that was the critical thing, because they needed that nuclear deterrent. They call that the Samson option. If you look at the history where they are in 48 and 56 and 67 and 73, these are people that are struggling to establish their fledgling state against all these Arab coalitions around them that are constantly making war against them. It was imperative they had the nuclear option. And so when Jack Kennedy threatened to impede that with the IAEA, I mean, you're right about all. The thing is about the Kennedy assassination is you're right. Italian mafia, CIA, and the war hawks there. There are a lot of people that had a gripe with Kennedy. But I think the only people audacious enough to kill an American president in that way was the Mossad. I think they're the only ones.
If we're gonna, because we named like 6 different things that hate people or entities that hated Kennedy. If you were gonna break it down percentage wise, because I used to think pretty much 30-30-30. Italian mafia, Jewish mafia, and fucking the CIA. What do you think that breakdown really is?
I think it's probably 80%, because the thing is about. But here's the thing: is because when you look at the Israelis, it's not enough to say like, well, they're over here, because they have also infiltrated all these institutions. Like when you look at the war in Iraq, you can't say like, well, there's Israel, and then there's the State Department, and then there's the Pentagon, because the State Department and the Pentagon are infiltrated. You know, like the DOD is infiltrated. You can't say like, well, the punditry class, because the punditry class is full of them. National Review is the Pravda for the war in Iraq. So in the same way, even when you look at a lot of the elements in the CIA, there's still infiltration. So that's why I lay a lot of it at the feet of the Israelis. I'm sure they had their accomplices.
And you think the predominant reason that they went after Kennedy was because he was putting pressure on Ben-Gurion and the nuclear situation?
100% is nuclear.
That's fair enough.
Capability.
Okay, I agree with that. I just didn't think it was that high of a percentage, but I mean, it makes sense.
Because that's their playbook. When they're trying to denuclearize Iran, they go and kill all their scientists. Like, that's the thing that they're extremely aggressive about, because that secures their freedom more than anything else.
And let me ask you, let me tell you this, because I was thinking about this as you were talking about why you think it's 80% Israel that was involved in Kennedy being killed. If you really think about it, Israel's a very small country. If you think of this from like a geographic standpoint, it's a very small country, or state in this case. They're surrounded by people that want to kill them, right? And they don't have the ground force to actually sustain long-term combat. They can't sustain casualties. That's why every That's why they have the whole birthright thing, so that they can get people back over there to serve in the military, and they can have military service is mandatory over there. So since they can't afford the casualties in ground combat, they have to compensate another way. So that makes sense why they need the nuclear weapon.
And that's also why they promote anti-Semitism, where like they kind of want it because it brings people back to their homeland, right? It's like
between America protecting them and the nuclear bomb, no one can do shit to them.
Yeah.
Well, they terrorized people. They terrorized the Jews in Iraq, in like Mesopotamia, and they terrorized Jews in Poland throughout the first half of the 20th century to get them to go move to Israel, actually. There's a lot of hoaxes where they created fake radio reports and they created fake news reports over in Iraq to get the Middle Eastern and the Ashkenazis up in Eastern Europe to go move to Israel. And yeah, I mean, the thing is about their nuclear capabilities, it's like you said, for all those reasons you said, it's absolutely imperative that they have it. And that's why they're so aggressive about preventing Iran from having that. And that's why I say that's the playbook, because they go and they kill civilians. Now, the CIA has done ops before, the mafia has done ops before, but something that ambitious, something like killing an American president at that time, I feel like they're the only ones with the, like we talked about earlier, these guys are zealots.
Well, why do you
I think they're the ones.
Why do you think the government didn't do anything, after the fact? Like, why were they so scared to retaliate or do anything in this case? Were the I guess the hooks of the state that deep into U.S. politics where they couldn't? Or was it that, you know what, Kenny being dead is better for everyone anyway. We could keep the wars going. We can make more money. Lyndon B. Johnson's going to do better for us anyway from a MIS standpoint, military industry complex, whatever, the MIC, sorry. What do you think that was?
I think the hooks were fully in the 1940s where it's just Jew land, but this is comedy. I don't actually mean that. But by 1940s, it's really not America anymore. You know what I mean?
Sorry, you were saying...
Well, because everybody benefited. I mean, who was going to go after them? Lyndon Johnson? Lyndon Johnson just became the president. Who's going to go after them? The CIA? Johnson was able to give them their war in Vietnam. Who's going to, I mean, do you understand what? So I feel like Jack Kennedy gets killed, and it's probably like the Mossad did a lot of these other institutions a favor, because Jack Kennedy, like we talked about, had a lot of enemies in a lot of places. And it's sort of similar. Like if somebody, God forbid, killed a contemporary president or something who was similarly a change agent, and it's like saying, well, is the FBI going to investigate or go after? No, I don't think they would. So, one, they're infiltrated, but also they're the beneficiaries of it because, like we talked about, there is that widespread infiltration, and also they all had an axe to grind against him. So,
and also every top sheriff in the U.S. is the top is a Freemason. They're literally in bed together. Nick, I was going to ask you, the thing that blew me away the most, that made me research mysticism and all this stuff, that Michikaku Jap guy, that Japanese guy, the famous physicist, Michikaku, there's a clip of him saying string theory and how the Big Bang universe started, all that mirrors the Zohar and Kabbalah, identical texts from thousands of years ago. Jewish mysticism, even the fucking, at the top of our physics on National Geographic, they're talking about the Zohar and Kabbalah, like magic, right? The Jewish magic. And when I finished Morals and Dogma, the book, they said that the Bible and the Zohar are the two most important books ever in history. And when you look into the Zohar, it's fucking witchcraft.
Yeah, that's where the word Kabbalah comes from, is from Kabbalah. And I feel like a lot of people don't even realize, when you see a lot of Hollywood celebrities involved in that or other famous people, they don't realize that Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. And it's been around for a long time. And essentially what it is communing with demons. Because you look at what these people were up to in medieval Europe, and they were using Christian blood in their rituals, and they were doing these sort of black masses. And so who else would they be communing with when they're doing that sort of thing? It all stems from that ritualistic magic. And some say that they don't even worship the real God. A lot of people say that they worship these desert deities like Moloch and like Baal, the demons.
These are just like the Star of Remphan. They're like picking certain zodiac alignments to worship. But I'm thinking, if the Treasury Federal Reserve billionaires are writing this shit in their books, it's not just hocus pocus. Like, it's clearly working. They got all the money on earth. Like,
a friend of mine told me when he was growing up during the Shabbat dinner, and he didn't even realize it until he was much older, they would break off the biggest piece of bread. And I don't think all Jews do this, but a lot of them do. They'll break off the biggest piece of bread as an offering to Satan.
The devil, yeah.
A lot of people don't even. And
a
that's
lot of Jews will argue about that, though. I've asked them that not everybody
When
does
you look
that.
at the Star of David,
right.
it's really just the seal of Solomon, a hexagram with the cube in the middle. The cube is Saturn, Saturnian, where we get the word Satan from. They worship on Saturn Day, right? Which is the furthest planet from the sun. They say, like, from grace and energy. Dude, they got a hexagram, Star of David, they call it, but it's really not. That's the seal of Solomon. That's spellcasting.
Yep. There's a good documentary about that with, what is it called? It's called, this is a real ancient lore, but there's a really good Christian documentary. I think it's by Steven Anderson, actually. I'm not a big fan of his, but I think he did produce a documentary years ago. It goes into the history of, Star of David's a total misnomer. It's got nothing to do with David. It's got nothing to do with the Bible. Like you said, it's a star for Fam. And it is involved in this ritualistic worship of demons. And there's a good article about this by Ron Unz. It's called Oddities of the Jewish Religion. And it talks about how Jews are sort of ambivalent about who they're praying to. Like, they say in this rabbinical tradition that they'll say their prayers in a different language to trick God and to, like, kind of slip one past the goalie. They think that if they say it
in the Babylonian Talmud, there's a part where the rabbi argues with God and he beats him in a debate like it's destiny. Like, what the fuck? They beat God in a debate in their own fucking text. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, so
Nick, I got a question
there's
for you
so
after.
much there. Yeah.
109. Why 109? Why is it? Like, give us the concrete. I could tell you what I've heard about this. It's because they, as you guys know in the chat, we always laugh, haha, 109. They've been kicked out of 109 countries, etc. What I've been told, or what I've heard, what I've read, is they practice usury, basically, having interest loans, etc. They go into a society, they lend money out on usury, collect interest, in-debt the people, bring pornography, bring alcohol, bring things that lead to degeneracy, etc. Get the people basically sedated on this bullshit.
Demoralized.
They owe them money. And now you also owe them money. They buy all the real estate. They have all the property, etc. And they just do this in multiple places. And then they take the money, and they're very smart about this. They keep it within each other. Nepotism is strong in that community. Sending money back to the homeland is strong in that community. That's why I've said they're the most patriotic people of any kind I've ever seen. There's a reason why if one guy from them boys gets money, all of them are getting money together. So this is the reasons I've heard that they've been kicked out of societies. What are you're better with history than me. What do you think?
Explain 109 real quick.
The countries that they've been, it's just a coincidence. Let's be honest. It's just a fucking coincidence.
Like 109 different countries have kicked them out at some point in history.
Okay, I don't know.
It's everybody else. It's a total.
You know what's funny,
it's
Nick?
irrational. What?
Nick, here's what's funny. 109 is the number they tell us.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Why,
I believe it. I believe it.
And this is what, like I said before, the things I mentioned before is why they kicked them out. But I mean, am I wrong? Am I right? What's your take on this?
Yeah, that's the same pattern in almost every society, and I wouldn't even call it patriotic. It's tribal. They're tribalistic, and the pattern is that they go in there to a different country, and they don't assimilate, they don't intermarry, they don't adopt the culture they're in. They remain, and specifically in Europe, with their own language, with their own religion, which is totally set against Christianity. And in a lot of the European states, so goes the rumor. Actually, a lot of people don't know how they became so powerful. A lot of it is speculation, because that first 1,000 years after the diaspora, there's not a lot of written history. There's not a lot to go by. But, so you just have these people that show up and they're just sort of rich, and there's a lot of speculation because I've looked into it. But that's what people say, is that the Talmud says that they can't loan interest to each other. They can't loan money with interest to each other, but they can loan money with interest to other people. And so the story goes, they then have this monopoly on banking. There's also this argument that, like, for example, in England, they say that William the Conqueror brought them from Normandy to England so that they could be tax collectors. And they would be, so like every other person in England was subject to a feudal lord, but the Jews answered only to the king. And so they were kind of like feds. They were like the king's agents. They couldn't own land. They couldn't be merchants. They couldn't be farmers, but they could go out there and collect the taxes and the debt. And they'd be willing to do that because they had no love for the people there, because they weren't from there. They weren't kin. They weren't neighbors. They weren't co-religionists. But that equally, that's why there's a lot of animosity against them.
I have my own theory, right? Is that if you think about it, the people who will adopt the most power in society are willing to kill their brother to be next in line for the throne. Like, it's like a kekistocracy, right? Like rule by incompetence, where the evil people are pretty much hacking. They're cheating their way to the top because the Christians aren't going to do a lot of that dirty stuff, right? So it's very simple how they went to the top. You know, they don't have Christ. That's a fast track to all the material wealth on earth, like the Bible says.
I do think a big part of it's also just straight up black magic. Like, I feel like the devil is like sort of the antithesis in the world. And of course, God allows the devil to operate. God is in control of everything. You know, the devil doesn't stand a chance against the lowest angel, let alone God. But yet, God allows the devil and the devil's angels to live in the world, and allows the devil and the devil's angels to work through people. Because I do believe in the supernatural. There are angelic beings. They're infinitely more intelligent than created than material people, than flesh people.
You know who agrees human beings. You, Nick? Plato, Carl Jung, every single intellectual in history agree with the supernatural. It's only recently that we have this fucking gay material world about stupid shit.
Well, yeah, and so, you know, God allows that for a reason. I think it serves a purpose in the history of the church and the history of evangelization. Like, clearly God allows evil in the world to elicit some sort of response from us. And I think if you look at Judaism, it's the rejection of God. Like, it's the closest thing to, if you want to call like a worship of the devil, that there is, in the sense that they reject Jesus. So if they're out there and you see the fruits promoting pornography and homosexuality and transgenderism and internationalism, all this sorts of corruption, clearly that's for a reason. It serves a purpose in the sort of the history of creation. And I think that they're allowed to operate with sort of like the aid of supernatural forces, I think with the aid of demons. I don't know that you can, like, for example, pornography. Do you think there's anything in the world the devil loves more than pornography? Like, the devil smiles every time a 9-year-old or an 11-year-old stumbles upon pornography and is addicted for life. The devil loves that. The devil has a place in hell made up for every human being on earth, and he can't wait to see their soul dragged to hell. And pornography is a massive part of that. And look who owns it. And it's like, so, you know, do you think that the devil is aiding the people in creating pornography and making it as not superfluous, what's the word I'm looking for? Ubiquitous as it is?
Yeah.
Ubiquitous.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, and it saturates everything, and it's corrupting so many young souls. It's costing children their innocence. That's a devil's favorite thing, is when a child loses their innocence, when a child is corrupted. And so, is it a coincidence that it's this group that does it? And do you think they did it without the aid of demons, without the aid of the devil? Of course not. So,
Nick, what's interesting to me is, like, people can't believe in the supernatural, but you look at the most influential man like Aleister Crowley. It's identical to Epstein Island, where it's always sodomy, homosexual with children, gay magic, like sex magic, or ritualistic murder. It's like always these two big ones for their powers, and then good stuff starts to happen to them. Yeah, you believe in all that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what is abortion? Mm-hmm. But child sacrifice. What is any of this stuff?
Yeah,
it's
transgender surgery is also satanic ritual.
I don't want to get us killed, but
it echoes.
A certain old lady's emails were leaked one time, and they're talking about Moloch, and it's no comedy. The pizza stuff and have you seen that?
What's her name? Abramovich or Abrahamson or something like that. They're literally involved in satanic magic rituals. A lot of that was involved with Pizzagate. I forget her name, but she would go to the Clintons' house in the Podestas, and she was known for being a magician, for being a black magician. Not racially black, of course, but like the dark arts.
Yeah, nobody. When you say magic, people think it's like, oh, I stopped listening. But you read Manny P. Hall, he says magic is just controlling the elements and the invisible forces of nature to do your bidding. But eventually, that demon working through you just takes over and destroys your life. And those invisible impulses is why we break the law and stuff, right? So a lot of black magic through black guys lately, right? A lot of.
Yeah.
No. Well, I'm gonna take off real quick.
Yeah, it's late. It's
let's end the stream. It's almost 4 a.m. Let's leave it at that.
Okay,
I think this is good. I think this is a good place to call it. I'm tired too.
We gotta say
thanks for the 20.
We have to say
240K.
Twitter.com/Zherka official. I threw this panel together.
No, you didn't.
I put these racists and
Absolutely
sexists
not.
together.
Absolutely not. Shout out to me for bringing. This was like the Red Pill panel right here. The people
Yeah.
who aren't afraid to JQ and the Red Pill. This is really great to see. Shout out to Nick. Cozy.tv/Nick.
Tomorrow, Chad.
Abba and faggot.
Tomorrow you're gonna see wanted posters of all 4 of our faces, right? Look for us.
No,
Find
I don't
us.
agree. These guys are clowns. I'm just here. I'm just grifting.
I got a bar mitzvah tomorrow. I can't chill with you guys.
No, you said it. Said it. No.
I'm gonna go spin my dreidel right now.
Okay, well, I love everybody. Thanks, Nick, for coming on. We'll talk soon.
Yo, Nick, it
Appreciate
was
it.
awesome talking
All right.
with you,
Likewise, yeah.
Hey,
See you
great
guys
stream.
later.
Great. This is some fire, man.
Absolutely, yeah. It was awesome. Thank you guys.
We're so back.
We're back. We never left. We bombed.
All right.
10,000 views the whole time.
Yeah, 10,000 viewers at 4 a.m. is absolutely incredible. Hey, shout out to all the nerds who are watching whatever instead of this podcast right now. Shout out to Myron. Shout out to Zherka. Shout out to Nick. Appreciate everybody for watching. Wait, can I conclude my stream? Make sure to follow the stream. What are we at? 240K on Rumble. On the road to 300 this summer. Let's get to 1 million. Let's get everything that we had
Tomorrow we're making
on
fun of
Batu.
Abba and Leech. You join in.
I'm coming in. I have some things to say, but I'm gonna cool it with
Yeah.
you know.
Just say you're one.
I have some things to talk about.
He called you a fucking leaf like fresh.
No, I said one. You're
And leave. You can't hear, bro. The cocaine got in your ears.
Going through the wind.
Well, I see what you did there. That's
Fresh
actually
is
funny.
so funny.
One
for that.
piece of leaf. I see what you did there.
Thanks for the 20, Datuli. W did 240K, W stream, W Zherka, W Myron. Best stream on the internet. More late night streams. This is what the fuck I'm talking about, man.
Yeah, we could do this. Like I said, SNEAKO always comes by and shows us love. So I'll be here more, guys, and show
And
some
guys,
love, too.
I'm still gonna chill with the boys because I'm about to pop off, and then guys, I have to go my own journey. I gotta be, I'm gonna be too big to chill with these influencers soon. So remember, guys, Christ is king. Don't listen to these Muslims.
Alhamdulillah, we love everybody. Allah is the one true God, and we shouldn't worship any false idols. We just worship God, and we don't need to worship anything else. No false idols, because that's extremely haram. That's the biggest sin.
Uncle's actually gonna KO me. He's like, I thought you were joking about.
Shout out to Zherka's uncle.
Calling me a homosexual.
Zherka's uncle, I hope you beat the shit out of Zherka. I will see you guys. See you in FNF tomorrow. Hold up, man. I'll see you in FNF tomorrow. If you miss any of the stream, make sure to join the locals. Bro, can I say my fucking outro?
Watch the love of his life.
Get the fuck out of here, you fucking cokehead junkie. Fucking degenerate doing Satan's drugs. Join STICKO.locals.com if you miss any of this live stream. I'll upload it on there because with the Matrix did attack. That was the weirdest. As soon as they started talking about Mossad, the Wi-Fi went out. And follow the stream too. Follow the stream too. We're at 240K. Join the new Discord. Link in the description. The Matrix took it down. And join my Telegram. Join my Discord. Join my Telegram. The content has not been as good recently. We'll see you guys tomorrow. This is one of the best streams of all time. Appreciate you guys. Love you. Bye. Be safe.